Welcome to the May 6th, 2025 City Council meeting, 6:30 p.m. City Council Chamber. We'll start with the prayer. Dear God, today's the session opens. We pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction, which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May it be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to a republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Noon.
Here.
Council Robinson.
Here.
Mayor Rourke.
Here.
Council Scott.
Here.
Council Yem.
Here.
Council Belanger.
Here.
Council Chow.
Here.
Council Dakota.
Here.
Council Gitchia.
Here.
Council Janess.
Here.
Council Mercia.
Here.
No moments of silence. Moving on to mayor's business. 2.1, communication, remote Zoom participation. Motion to accept the place on file by Council Yam, seconded by Council Scott. All those in favor say aye. Proposed motion passes. 2.2, introduction. The cast of the MRT production of What Are You Now? Khmer Stories on Stage. Council Chow.
Mr. Mayor, if you could ask the director of MRT, and we have a couple casts here, if they could introduce themselves on the play, that'd be great.
Hello, good evening. Thank you all so much for having us. My name is Courtney Sale, and I have the great honor and privilege to serve as the Nancy L. Donahue Executive Artistic Director at MRT. I want to say thank you so much for all of you having us here. We are so lucky in the city of Lowell to have elected officials and folks who really support arts and culture and what we're doing at MRT. A couple of years ago, we developed a new strategic plan, and that plan was to really grow two audiences, our youth audiences and our Southeast Asian voices, and specifically our Khmer voices. So it started with a project called Letters from Home by Kalyan Ung, and we had Kalyan here. And then it is continuing to grow. And so we're in the midst of that with this production called What You Are Now, which is set in Lowell. And it really deals with the relationship between a mother and daughter and finding generational healing. And I'm thrilled because we have been able to galvanize some of the most extraordinary talent across the country to come here and share this story about our community. We run through Sunday, every night through Sunday matinee. I want to also say thanks to the council and many others for helping us with some HVAC challenges that we had over the weekend. I really appreciate, and the actors really appreciate that too. But I'd love to introduce Sonny Brown and Joan Nyo, who are going to talk just a little bit about their experience being here and the show.
Hello, I'm Sonny Brown. I live in New York City, and I am so honored to be a part of this production. It was very important to the playwright to actually do it in Lowell because the play takes place in Lowell, and she really wanted to be able to expose the story to the community of Lowell because it's so important. I wanted to be a part of it because right now deportation is an important issue, and if it's done fairly, fine. But when it's done the wrong way, it can be horrific. And I would like to be able to help in any way, lend my voice in any way I can. And I am so proud to be in Lowell. It's such a beautiful little town. I wish there were more businesses here because I see these empty buildings and it breaks my heart because they're so beautiful. Where this building is beautiful, where we're staying is amazing, and it's so charming. I've enjoyed every minute of it here. I'm sorry the Jack Kerouac's bar is closed because I really wanted to go see that. But he had more than one. I did go see the Worthen, and I thought that was pretty cool, have beer in the oldest bar. So thank you for having us and welcoming us. This has been great.
Thank you.
Thank you all. My name is Joe No. I appreciate you having us here to
to give us this recognition, or at least speak upon this this piece that we're doing over at MRT. It's an incredible journey being here in Lowell, Massachusetts. I'm also a child of survivors of the Khmer Rouge as well, and so it has meant a lot for me to be able to portray this character who is like so much of the kids and the now actually 40 to 50-year-old guys who are here in Lowell, Massachusetts, that I see on the street that that resonate so deeply within my community as well. I see a direct, exact mirror to myself every time I set foot on stage and I look in the mirror and I get to portray this character. It has meant a lot for me, and I'm sure for them if they get to that little chance to see someone who looks like them on stage. And I only hope that I can do it justice anytime I do that for these people here. And it's been an incredible city. Thank you so much, Lowell, for having us.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
If I could just make a short comment here. Thank you, Courtney and MRT and the cast from traveling from all over the country to come perform the play. I saw the play last Friday. It's amazing. I give it a 5-star and a 100% Rotten Tomatoes rating. Go see it before the play's over. Wonderful play. I did not read up on it because I want to be surprised. I want to learn something as well. But, growing up as Cambodian American myself, the lived experience, and definitely I learned more than what I've seen in my own personal life. So thank you for the play. Wonderful job. I encourage everybody to go see it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
So yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to echo my colleagues and my family and I and my friend had an opportunity to watch the show. I didn't realize the emotion is still raw 40 years later, and what Joe did, he just resonate with a lot of younger boy who came to America and rebellious and hang out with the wrong crowd, and he played really well. And Sony, she remind me of my mother-in-law. She go through a lot of traumas and things like that. So I have my wife and the 2 sister-in-law were there. We're really emotional, and I appreciate what MRT has done, and I really thank them. Thank you for doing this. If I may ask you, Mr. Mayor, I was going to say, Your Honor, to have the cast have a picture taken with all of us as a counselor, because Sunday will be their last day, and like Joe go back to the West Coast and Sonny will go back to New York and all of that. So it is our privilege to have you in our city and maybe have a picture taken together. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Sure. I'll speak first. I want to take a picture. Councilor Robertson?
Thank you. I was just wondering, as they said, this play ends Sunday. Is there any hope or chance that the play will be coming back again, especially into the city of Lowell, where maybe, leading up to or around the time of the Asian Water Festival, where we get such a large population of Southeast Asian that come in, and again, it's speaking to the community.
Yes, thank you for that question. So I definitely think this is a work that's going to be part of our repertoire. Probably not coming so immediate, but I think it also sheds light on what we're doing next season. So we have incredible collaborations. We have a piece called Queen by a Cambodian writer named Vichet Chum, which is an MRT commission and was adapted into a young adult novel, now being produced into a play. And it centers on a Lowell High School student. So that is a big centerpiece of what we're doing next season. And then we have an amazing partnership with Encore Dance. We are producing a Kamai Swan Lake. It is a brand new production. Encore has described it as their foremost production in 40 years. It will have a 3-week run. We think there's going to be a lot of national attention for this. So we're really excited to lift the work that we're doing here in Lowell. And I just want to make one last thing, which I meant to say at the beginning. We did learn Friday night that our NEA grant that was awarded for this production was withdrawn. A lot of our peer theaters are going through that similar notice. That was $20,000 dedicated to this show. We will get through with our amazing trustees and community stakeholders, but it also just heightens the importance of local officials supporting what we do. So thank you. We have more cast here now, too. We're taking.
What baby?
One, two, three.
Next on the agenda, 2.3, a proclamation for Nurses Week. If we could have our Director of Health and Human Services and also a nurse, Lisa, come on up, please, to the podium. Celebrating the week, honoring our nurses, the City of Lowell, by my honor, Dan P. Rourke, Mayor, and the City Council as well. A proclamation in recognition of Nurses Week. The City of Lowell proudly honors the extraordinary contributions of registered nurses who represent the largest segment of the nation's healthcare workforce. With unmatched dedication and expertise, nurses meet the diverse and evolving health needs of the American people across a broad range of settings, most notably on the front lines during the times of crisis, including the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas, as the landscape of healthcare shifts with an aging population, emerging health challenges, and the rapid expansion of home-based care, the demand for highly qualified registered nurses has never been greater. Nurses are essential to the delivery of safe, high-quality, and cost-effective care, and their role in sustaining and advancing our healthcare system will only grow in importance in the years ahead. And whereas we recognize and thank nurses for their profound impact on individual lives and our broader healthcare system, their strength, compassion, and professionalism enrich our world, and we extend our heartfelt appreciation to all nurses who continue to lead, heal, and inspire. We encourage everyone to join us in thanking nurses during Nurses Week. Now, therefore, I, Dan P. Rourke, and the City Council as well, in partnership with the American Nurses Association, do hereby proclaim May 6th to May 12th as Nurses Week, celebrating the 2025 theme, The Power of Nurses, given the 6th day of May, 2025. Thank you.
Mayor, manager, counselors, thank you. Not just me, all the nurses within the city, including the law department has a nurse there in workman's comp. So thank you, everybody. Thank a nurse this week. Anybody in training, I know that everybody calls a nurse when they need something. I know 2 of you up there, nurses in training. Everybody calls someone, so buy a nurse a cup of coffee this week and thank a nurse. Thank you.
Last bit of mayor's business, 2.4, citation. The Prolonged Khmer and Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association. Councilor Yam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a citation. May is the Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Month, Heritage Month. So this year, we recognize Prolong Khmer and the Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association, CMAA, for their work to encourage and to preserve the 50th anniversary. So the citation reads as follows: Be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby offer its sincerest congratulations to Prolong Khmer and Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association in celebration of Asian American, Native, Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. We come together to proudly honor Prolong Khmer and the Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association for their visionary leadership and steadfast dedication to presenting a 50-year journey of remembrance and resilience. This historic commemoration marking the 50th anniversary of the fall of Phnom Penh stands as a powerful tribute to the resilience and remembrance and unity of the Khmer people. Through traditional performance, cultural exhibit, literacy expression, and educational dialogue, CMAA and Prolong Khmer have created a meaningful space for healing, reflection, and cultural pride. Their work preserves the memory of lives lost, honors, strengthen the survivors, and uplift the Khmer American community with grace, purpose, and authenticity. This initiative not only enriches public understanding, but also empowers future generations to carry forward their heritage with dignity. With deep gratitude and profound respect, we recognize the enduring impact of CMAA and Prolong Khmer. Their commitment to truth, healing, and cultural legacy strengthens not only the Khmer American community, but also the collective spirit of the broader AANHPI family. This commemoration stands as a statement to their enduring contribution to cultural preservation, community empowerment, and international remembrance. And now, therefore, I, Paul Ratayam, the Vice Mayor of the City of Lowell, on behalf of Mayor Dan Piruk, the entire City Council, and the City of Lowell, the resident of Lowell, hereby extend our deepest appreciation and utmost praise to Prolong Khmer and the CMAA for their continued preservation of the Khmer culture and history, given this day, 6th day of May 2025, by Mayor Dan Piruk, Paul Ratayam, Vice Mayor, and the entire City Council. We would like to present this to Prolong Khmer and CMAA. But also we have a token of appreciation. This plaque made possible by my family and I for CMAA and also for Prolong Khmer.
If I may, I'd like to make some acknowledgement because this is not the only people who make this happen. A lot of us, and this is a true collaborative that the CMA is proud of. I promise I timed it to about 3 minutes. Good evening, Mayor Rourke, Vice Mayor Yam, City Manager Golden, and distinguished members of the City Council. My name is Soti. I represent the Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association and also as the co-chair of Berlin Khmer, along with Sophie Thiem, who is unable to be here tonight. But we have other members who are here, Bara Chiem Room and I'm missing out, and Vanat Teng, and just a few of us here tonight, unfortunately. 1 year ago, we embarked on a journey called Berlin Khmer, which is the Berlin word is for soul, Khmer soul, a 50-year journey of remembrance and resilience to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Khmer genocidal regime of Pol Pot. After a year of planning, the Khmer community and supporters across New England have been coming together for the last 2 months for Berlin Khmer to support and participate in a series of events commemorating one of the most profound and defining moments in Khmer history. On April 17, 1975, the Khmer genocidal regime of Pol Pot took over, from 75 to 79, took over Phnom Penh and other provincial cities in Cambodia, where an estimated 1.7 to 3 million Khmer people died due to overwork, starvation, disease, and execution. Lost my spot. 2025 marks the 50th anniversary of the Khmer refugee relocating to the United States after fleeing the regime. For the last 2 months, we have honored the lives lost during the regime, supported survivors, celebrated the contributions of Khmer Americans, and elevated the Khmer heritage, sacrifices, and achievements of the Khmer diaspora in the city of Lowell and New England. Throughout the country, we see our Khmer American communities come together to remember and uplift our contributions to our communities. For Berlin Khmer, we put together a series of events which include Khmer American Literacy Arts Day, the launch party, the Don't Think I've Forgotten, the Interfaith Remembrance Vigil, the grand opening of the Berlin Khmer exhibit, ceremonial tree planting, Khmer in Lowell exhibit, Khmer opera musical theater called Lakan Pasak, the cast of MRT production of What You Are Now. We would like to invite you to participate in the ongoing upcoming events. Berlin Khmer exhibit is still happening, the main exhibit at the Lowell Community Health Center. The Khmer in Lowell exhibit is still happening through the beginning of June at the loading dock on Western Ave, and panel discussion in Lowell High School on May 15. The closing ceremony and cultural showcase on May 23rd. And I want to acknowledge City Manager Tom Golden, who been helping us with the Lowell Memorial Auditorium expenses, which is a big one. Thank you. The closing ceremony and the cultural showcase ticket is now available on berlinkhmer.org events. I would like to thank my co-chair, Sophie Thiem, for her extraordinary leadership, the leader that did the work. Berlin Khmer Steering Committee members, Bara Chiem Room, Barbara Dunsford, Sophie Thiem, Dr. Christine Su, Gary Ratsang, and Suktia Pai, and all subcommittee leads, members, and volunteers. Also, thank all donors, sponsors of community partners who made the events possible. In particular, Theodore Edson Parker Foundation, Mass Humanities, Greater Lowell Community Foundation, City of Lowell, Nancy L. Donahue. As an ED of CMAA, I am proud and honored to be part of Berlin Khmer and as its fiscal sponsor. Thank you and see you on the 23rd.
Thank you all very much. Moving on to Section 3, City Clerk, 3.1, minutes of the Rules and Election Law Subcommittee, April 29th. City Council regular meeting, April 29th for acceptance. Motion to accept the placement on file by Council Janes, second by Council Gitchia. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Not quite 7 p.m. yet. Skip the general public hearings and utility public hearings. Section 6, City Council motion. 6.1, Council Noon. Request City Manager provide an update regarding the use of the UMass Lowell Inn and Conference Center after the facility is no longer being used as a migrant shelter. Second by Councilor Janess. Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Back then, when I learned that MCC going to be house for migrant coming to Lowell, I know that it's not in a long run. I know that at some point it's going to be an end to it. At first, we learned that it's just 1 year, right? And I said, look, let's just get a group together. I understand that the state have the authority, the governors in this case, in terms of what to do with that building, right? But we still can, and we should start now because this is like, this place closed in July to so, or this year, in a couple months. What's going to happen to this place? Back then, I want to see maybe we can put a group together and say what's planned after or next after the migrant leave. And now we know for certain that they'll be leaving very soon. I want to know what plan we have in places, what meeting we have with the governors and or UMass Lowell, because this one time was housed by UMass Lowell. And I know that MCC, Middlesex Community College, is interested in maybe take over if possible. So please bring all the party together and see what we can do with this building, because we cannot leave this building, idle after the migrant leave. And we do need hotel space. There's a way to do it, and I'm sure that if the committee in the wisdom come together, form committee and make decision as to what to do with that building. Downstairs, maybe we still can use the function as a function hall. Second and third floor, maybe do a hotel, and maybe the floor up from there, housing to something. So I'm just saying, thank you.
Councilor Janess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to my colleague for bringing this forward. I, too, am very curious what's going to happen with this building. This is it's a pretty big building in the downtown. It's pretty important for the economic health of the downtown to make sure that this building is utilized and utilized well. Obviously, there are significant financial impacts for the city where it abuts the city parking garage right there. There's a lot of revenue that could be gained for the city just by the building being used and people visiting on a regular basis. So I think it's really important we lean in on this and not let it sit empty while we figure out what's going on. The quicker we can move on this, I think the better for everyone involved. I thank everyone for willing to roll their sleeves up and get in on this because, like I said, I think it's a very important building for our downtown, and it's going to have a big impact if we leave it empty or if we use it. So I'd like to see us use it. Thank you.
I got 5 other councilors that want to speak on it. Councilor Mercia, are you one of them? You raise your hand. Councilor Gitchia, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Through you to Manager Golden. At this point, have you had any conversations with the governor or her staff about what their plans are for over there?
Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and through to the council. Councilors, individually, all of you have been asking me about this particular matter, so trying to address everybody at the same time. So yes, the answer is yes. I've been speaking with Chancellor Chen. I've been speaking with the chairwoman from the University of Massachusetts Building Authority, which is Mary Burns. I've also been talking with Lieutenant Governor as well as Secretary of EOHLC, Housing and Livable Communities. So all of these conversations have been happening. I think there's a lot of great ideas that are on the docket about what could happen over there. We're just to let everybody know, we don't own it. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think in speaking with the Chancellor, she is very interested in working with the city to make something happen there that would be beneficial to all of us. So I think that's the first thing to kind of understand. We don't own it. To some extent, UMass Lowell has a lot of interest in it, but UMBA, which is the UMass Building Authority, is actually the organization that I guess has the deed, has the right to sell. So all of those conversations have been happening, and I want to remind the council, because once again, I appreciate all the text messages and calls and the concerns about what is happening in that area, but we're also in the process right now of finishing up with DCAM, Department of Capital Asset Management from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and our final, we're in our final review for the RFP. Assistant City Manager Rose has been working on that, and we're hoping that in the next few months, with the partnership that we have, the strong partnership we have with University, UMass Lowell, DCAM, that could be a very vibrant and exciting area. So all of these conversations are happening. We're talking of hundreds. We could be talking about hundreds upon hundreds of potential housing in that area. And per the council's wishes, we're really trying to push towards affordable home ownership, which we've been very successful just down the street from us here. I believe that the committee heard something earlier today. I believe I heard a little bit back and forth about Suffolk Place that's being built. So there's a lot of excitement in that area. And I'll have to keep it there only because, once again, UMass Lowell is a great partner. UMBA owns it, and I think we have a really great discussion going on with all of us. So I'd love to hear any of the ideas or thoughts that the council has to continue moving this forward.
Council Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do appreciate Councilor New's motion on this, and I do value the manager's optimistic appraisal of the situation going forward. This is a very important piece, not only in our downtown, but throughout the city. We most certainly have a need for a hotel. I mean, I talked to representatives of Lowell Memorial Auditorium, Convention and Visitors Bureau, just to name a few. And that hotel space was sadly missed. Now, we cannot sustain 200 some odd rooms. I mean, that's not sustainable. However, if we can maintain a few floors of hotel spaces, the manager alluded to, as well as Councilor Noon, and I want to echo the same sentiment, the project right down the street, first-time home ownership opportunities are scarce. And this is a good opportunity for that. These are small, efficient units. They're not going to be 3 and 4 oversized units. I envision 1 bedroom tops, 2 bedrooms, that become affordable for our population. So if we can achieve hotel space, affordable first-time home ownership, what a win. What a win that would be for our community. So look forward, Mr. Manager. I have the utmost confidence in you to work with all the partners and stakeholders in this. I'd like to see some community input, some input sessions from the public and local stakeholders at the same time in the very near future. I know that not so much the decision makers, but we want to hear from everybody on this. So appreciate the motion. Looking forward to all the progress going forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Being 7 p.m., we'll return to the public hearings. 1, general public hearings. 4.1, an ordinance to amend Chapter 90 of the floodplain overlay. An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, with respect to Chapter 290 thereof entitled Lowell Zoning Ordinance by amending Article 9 Overlay Districts, specifically Section 9.1 entitled Floodplain Overlay District. Start off the meeting with also speak in favor, in favor, in favor. That portion of the meeting is closed. All those in opposition, opposition, opposition. That portion of the meeting is closed. Motion to adopt by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Gitchia. Councilor Mercia, you want to say something?
I wanted to say that the Lowell Planning Board had a recommendation on this particular public hearing for the floodplain. Wouldn't that be under Section 7.5? Was that related to this?
Yes.
All right, so why can't we take that together? Because their recommendation was positive, so I'm just saying if we could put them both together and move approval, that would be fine with me.
You just did it.
There you go.
1.5, okay. Any other comments? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Council Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Council Scott.
Yes.
Council Yem.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Chow.
Yes.
Council Dakota.
Yes.
Council Getchia.
Yes.
Council Janice.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Moving on to the Section 5, utility public hearings. These are all going to be referred, once you open the hearing, to the wire inspector for a report recommendation. So I'll read all 6 of them off at once. 5.1, Boston Gas, National Grid, request installation of plastic gas main 682 to 980 Chancellor Street. 5.2, Boston Gas, National Grid, request replacement of existing gas main at 53 Meadowcroft Street. 5.3, Boston Gas, Boston Gas and National Grid, request replacement of existing gas main, Princeton Boulevard. 5.4, National Grid, request installation of one JO pole at 969 Western Street. 5.5, National Grid, request installation of underground facility on Quebec and Blossom Streets. And 5.6, Carriage House Consulting, request installation of an underground monitoring well in sidewalk located at 219 East Merrimack Street. Are there any questions on any of these? We'll start with those opening in favor. Get closer or not? Yeah, open in favor for all of them. Yeah. And then open and close. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to open them all in favor for all 6. The portion of the meeting is closed. For those in opposition, that portion of the meeting is closed. A motion by Councilor Gitche to send to the wire inspector for a report and recommendation. Second by Councilor Dakota. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Returning to the city council motion list.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion to take 7.3 out of order. I notice Ms. Tyree is here.
Motion by Councilor Janes to take 7.3, communication out of order. Seconded by Councilor Mercier. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 7.3, communication, the resignation of Mona Tyree from the DEIB committee. And a motion to accept the place on file by Councilor Yems, seconded by Councilor Robinson. Mr. Clerk.
Mona Tyree.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Manager, and the City Council. I just want, I know I have resigned, but I'd like to just talk about the reasons why I resigned, because I think it's important to be transparent about what's going on. I will say that I'm very disappointed, and I will also say that I was very happy to be appointed on the committee because it's very important to the city of Lowell. It's important to me, myself personally. I live DEIB my whole life, and I am an advocate for the city. I will still continue to volunteer on anything that comes up within the city because I truly do love the city of Lowell. I love the communities that are all over the place, but I'm very disappointed that this has not gone any further. When I joined, I thought, you know, something was going to happen. It was going to probably take a month. And initially it said that we were supposed to be meeting every month. That never came to fruition at all. So that's the disappointment. I know that we met as a group when we were appointed, and then we unofficially met as a group together just to get to know each other, but then silence. And I don't understand, and you don't have to answer me, but I am going to put it out there. I don't understand why it just kind of just sat there. And I'm not talking about the city in itself, because I think there's been a lot of improvements, I will say, in the city of Lowell, in City Hall, but out in the communities, I don't see the improvements. So I'm very disappointed that I had to resign because I really do deeply believe in the city of Lowell. And that's pretty much all I have to say, but I wanted it, you know, to just put it out there, because when is it going to start, and what is going to be the first meeting? I know I'm no longer going to be part of it, but I think it needs to get to stepping, as we say, because it's just sitting there and nothing's happening. And thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Councilor Janes?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to thank you, Mona, for stepping up and being willing to serve on the committee. None of these committees work unless people in the community are willing to step up and participate. So I am disappointed as well to hear that this hasn't really taken off. And this week, or last week actually, I was interviewing somebody for a position in my day job. And I noticed on their resume that they listed that they participated in their town's DEI committee when they were in high school. And it was a town in Massachusetts. I don't want to sell anyone out, so I'm not going to identify it. But During the interview, I asked, I see you participate in this. I find this interesting because I'm also a city councilor, et cetera, and asked what they did as part of that committee. And they told me about all the meetings they had where they would review policies that was being put forward by the town to understand how that impacts various sectors of the population of that town, and would make recommendations back to the town on how they should be implemented, things that they may want to change, adjust. Some specific things that were mentioned was that they were meeting during COVID, during really the start and the height of COVID, and a lot of their recommendations had to do with remote learning in the schools. And so they worked closely with the town school committee to recommend how to implement remote learning in a way that was sensitive to the needs of the various populations within the town, and how to do it in an equitable fashion. Things like distributing laptops and getting internet access and things like that, which I know is all stuff that we have done as a city and did do during that time. But I think there are interesting opinions, thoughts, and things that can be gained by engaging these voices in discussions like that, and other things when we're implementing broad-based policy across the city that really takes into consideration the needs and the realities of the different communities within the city. So I would like to see us really kind of lean in on this and figure out how to make it work, and how to really harness the goodwill of the residents who are stepping up to participate on this committee, to really make sure that we're accepting their help and we're using that help to make the policies as best they possibly can be for the most residents in the city. So once again, thank you to Ms. Tyree for stepping up, and thank you for coming to speak tonight on why you resigned. I think it's very important for us all to hear that and know it, and figure out how to do better. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We all know that it is very difficult to fill position of board and commission. It's a volunteer job, and we want to find a good person, and person who care, and person who want to contribute. I know that Mona has been on many nonprofit board, and you don't want to lose somebody like her. I also don't want to. I also know that there's some board and commission, they don't really get things started right the way we all want it. There's a lot of there's a dirty laundry here that I don't want to air here. If I may, Mr. Mayor, Mona didn't want to leave. If you can hear that in her. She filed this letter resigning, but we can't reconcile. There's a way to reconcile this with her. I would ask Mr. Mayor if we can refer this Ms. Mona letter of resignation to the city managers, and maybe to see if we can work it out here. We can have this meeting start soon. I agree. It's important. I think Mona says it's important to her when she's willing to sit on this committee. It's important to this council vote to have DEI officers and the committee, because the council and this administration see an important in this. Because this committee tasked to review policy and make recommendation to the managers. What, if any, change? What can we do better? So, if we get this letter, Mona, Tyree, to the managers and reconcile to them, maybe to get the meeting started. It's been a while, I agree. But we started, maybe start next month and meet every every month. I know that Mona Tyree is not the only person that grow frustrated over this. I learned from others as well. So that is the request, Mr. Mayor, to send this, to refer this to the city managers, to have the managers have a sit down with Ms. Tyrese, and maybe we can, get this started.
Well, it's probably more her decision than it is ours, right?
If you ask her, she would say yes, if you can get this kickstart, Mr. Mayor.
I motion by Councilor Newman, second by Councilor Getchia. We'll do that. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I also would like to thank Ms. Tyree for coming and speaking on this, and I too have heard from other members on this board saying that no work has been done. 2 meetings in the short amount of time that the board's been there. I think it's 6 to 8 months or whatever. I mean, I know when this was all rolled out, I was one of the people that pushed back and said with all of this stuff, it should have, I thought at the time it should have reported to the council. There should have been a lot more monitoring on this. And I just don't see the work. I don't see the work or the commitment that's being done with the community. And that's what the establishment of this board really was supposed to be about. I know when it was rolled out, everyone was all behind it. And there was a million initiatives that were going to be positives to come out of this work, and yet nothing. We did, I think, 1 training with our department heads. No mentorship programs have been established. No employee resource groups. Hiring practices, inclusive hiring practices, I mean, are we even keying up and looking in those areas? Other DEI initiatives that were discussed in the Clifton Lawson that kind of led to the creation of this was pay equity audits, different work arrangements, different considerations with ADA compliance, subtitles and captions on communications, translation of materials. I mean, it just seems like if we're not meeting and involving the community with some of these improvements that we're saying we're doing, and we're not bringing people's concerns and considerations to the table, are we going to convince Mona Tyree and the others to stick around and be a member of a board and donate and volunteer their time for something that's not going to do anything anyways? They're not going to call meetings. So I think we have a problem with this committee, and I don't know, I hope we can sort this out and either A, get people motivated to get back to work on some of these initiatives, or B, get rid of it, because it's kind of wasting our residents' time if we're not going to be calling routine meetings and have pretty much an agenda that they're going to be working on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Mona Tyree was one of the initial people who came in here and spoke so passionately about DEI. When I read on an email, and all of us got it, the manager, everyone got the email on April 15th asking, where the meetings were, and I believe everybody most likely read that. Never expecting that there was not going to, I don't know who responded to her, who didn't. I didn't, because I didn't feel as though it was my place to say, okay, here's where the meetings are or anything. I figured when it checked off the box that it was going to the manager's office, that it would have been taken care of then, and I don't know what Councilor Nguyen's motion is going to do. And then again on the 28th, she reached out again in another email asking questions, and again, I don't know who reached back out to her at that point. But to watch somebody who's so passionate about something stand up here in an exit interview after resigning, that shows how passionate someone is about our community. Whether we believe in DEI or we don't believe in DEI, we have a person up here who's extremely passionate about bettering our city. And I'm sad to see somebody walk away from something that they care so much about, whether we agree or disagree on the path that happens. Mona has gotten award after award after award in our community for the great work she has done. And I just think that it was a misstep by this administration or us, whatever way it looks at, from that April 15th email that we all got and read. And I don't know how many people responded to it or didn't. I know I didn't. And then the 28th also. And Mr. Manager, maybe you did. I don't know. I don't want to get into the personnel piece of this whole thing, but I just think it's hard to believe that you have someone who cares so much about a community and cares so much about people and has had award after award in their name in honors, because of the hard work they've done, stand up here and take this point. And Mona, I thank you for the courage you just went through, because it's not easy to question people in public and say, look, here's the reason why I resigned, and I'm sad to see you go. And I wish that there was another way about it, but I think you proved your point tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. To Ms. Tyree, my apologies that this hasn't taken off the way you wished. Sincerely, I've known Mona for a number of years, and I think she's done a fine job and really helped us. Given the fact that the council has started this in June of 2024 of last year, and as Ms. Tyree had stated, we got together in around August of 2024 to try to feel this thing out a little bit. And quite frankly, I mean, there has been a lot happening within this city as it comes to employee wellness, book clubs, employees, DEI training, as I think the council has talked about. So there has been a number of items that I know that we're working on right now to bring back, and I believe it was Councilor Janess, I hope I'm correct on this, a question as to, what are the successes been with DEI. I think it might have been Councilor Noon as well. So there are a number of things in our summary report of our activities and the trainings and everything that's been happening. But where we truthfully have fallen short is in the public. So if you can think of the timeline as everything that has happened, the timeline starting in November of this year has changed. Everything has changed with what's happening in Washington. That is no excuse with the executive order that was put forth. It is no excuse, but I will take the blame for that. We're trying to figure out what to do next and how to continue to move forward. My job, I look at it, is to protect the city in any type of funding mechanisms or anything that's going on with the federal government. And quite frankly, what the federal government has been doing is concerning. It's concerning to me, but quite frankly, we have been doing this. We have been paying close attention to this. But where I failed, and I apologize, Ms. Tyree, I failed in bringing the committee together to maybe talk to the community to find out how we should move forward on this. So I would take that as a failure on me and me alone, because this is something that I've talked to with Ms. Dominguez as well as Ms. DeRoches as to what we should be doing. I know that the number of things that we have done for our employees is in the right direction, but failing our community lays squarely on me. So as Councilor Noon has stated, I would like to talk to Ms. Tyree to find out if there's another way we can move forward. Once again, there is no excuse, but when the ground is shifting underneath you, and I know I've spoken to a couple of councilors about this, about how we need to move forward, and how in some of our grant applications, we actually have to, and I'm embarrassed to say this, we have to look and scrub and change things, or we're immediately going to be denied. And we rely so heavily on grants and different opportunities for this city to move forward and to build things. So I would accept, I guess, the council's request, if it was a request, Councilor Noon, that I will take this up directly with Ms. Tyree to see if she's still interested for future, and we will get moving from a community discussion sooner rather than later.
Councilor Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, but what you just brought up is pretty concerning as far as scrubbing and doing all of these things. I guess this is part of probably a larger discussion that we really need to have. I guess maybe you're not prepared to answer this now, but what mandates have we been given to make changes to the way we've been doing things already? Like, this is an ordinance of the city council that it reports to you, this committee. So I just want to, I guess maybe it is a bigger discussion. Maybe we could have it in a subcommittee. I don't know which one. But I just really would like to know, what has changed within the city and how we're doing business. Thank you.
I would thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. I would say that the city, and it was stated here earlier tonight, the city is very welcoming. And I think that that's very positive. I think Ms. Tyree's even said she's so positive and up on the city. But my concern is, I think it was 1415-1, the executive order, which has been challenged in court. But When I look at this, I look at trying to maximize the grant opportunities throughout the city. So what has changed in the city? I would say the employee, at least from an employee standpoint, I think we've done a lot, and I'm really going to push to make sure that that report gets back to the councilors within the next couple of weeks to show what has been happening, I'll say inside the city, or inside the buildings, if you would, for our employees. I hope I'm answering your question, Councilor, because I think the city, we've always done a great job. I think we've done a fabulous job, to be quite frank. We've failed in this instance, there's no question about that. But my concern externally from the federal government side is challenging the federal government at this point in time when the grant opportunities are so vital to our city. And I hate saying this, and I've said it, anyone that will listen, about looking at verbiage, making sure that any of our applications go in, don't automatically preclude us. Automatically preclude us. I think this is a disgusting way to do this, but this is just me saying this. I believe that this city has been doing it the right way, but grants are being kicked out, not from our perspective as of now, as of right now. There's no reason to believe that we have lost any grant opportunities, but other communities have. I hope I'm answering your question, Councilor Scott.
Councilor Marcia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for explaining your position, Mr. Manager. Thank you for falling on the sword for whatever happened here. But I want to say that when Mona went up to the microphone, I never expected what she was going to say come out of her mouth, and it took a lot of courage to do that. Not many people that I know would get up there and criticize and say truthfully how disappointed they were, and I was embarrassed. I personally was embarrassed to hear that because I never heard that before. But sometimes bad things happen for a reason, and the reason that I see while observing all this is I'm glad that this came to the forefront. It's the first I ever heard of it. I thought things were happening, but I think the goodness is that you're going to meet, Mr. Manager, with Mona, and maybe Mona can lead the charge. Don't leave the post. Take over the post. That's the way I see it. Let the person that has all these ideas and drive to make something happen lead the charge. That's the way I see it. I know that you can't call a meeting to order if you're not in charge. So see who's in charge and see if they want to have a dual role with someone that can call a meeting and be in charge. I'm very impressed. This didn't happen for a bad thing. This happened for something good. Goodness can come out of what you just said today. That's the way I see this. I don't see anything wrong. I see something being corrected and things getting done. This is the way I see it.
Councilor Gitsch, all set? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Return to the motion. 6.2, Councilor Robinson requests City Manager of the Property Department explore the installation of a convex mirror on pole at intersection of Lakeview Ave and Ferry Lane. Second by Councilor Janess. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Motion speaks for itself.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.3, Councilor Robinson requests City Manager provide a report on the process used for appointment to the LTC seats dedicated to the City Council and City Manager appointments. Seconded by Councilor Yem. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Basically, this is something that it was looked at quite some time ago, and I'm looking forward to the report back. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.4, Councilor Scott requests City Manager collaborate with the Lowell Regional Transit Authority, LRTA, to explore options for increasing the frequency of service on the city's most heavily traveled routes. Seconded by Councilor Janess. Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So obviously it is a position of this board that we want to increase public transportation use. We've been complaining about parking issues throughout the whole city, and we've expanded with the MBTA zoning. So obviously we want to increase public transit use. I have heard from residents within my district. I also went to some listening sessions held by DEI Lowell downtown, where a lot of the residents and quite a few students from UMass Lowell brought up the reasons that they were not taking public transportation. A lot of it centered around the hours and around the frequency of the buses coming. They said they came hourly. I did look at some other areas like MEVA, and they come on like a half an hour schedule. So I don't know if there's some way that we can collaborate, I guess, with the LRTA. I know it's up to their board, but maybe to do a ridership survey around expanding times, especially around the most frequent routes within the city. Thank you.
Councilor Getchia.
Mayor Rourke, through you to Manager Golden. UMass Amherst has the system put together with UMass Lowell and their public transportation, with their UMass Amherst and their public transportation put together, and it makes sense. And when you look around here, we have two systems running concurrent when we should be able to try to bring people together and try to make this one system that actually works for the people and make it sustainable. And I think it's something that we really need to get that conversation started. I know at one point I had spoken to Marty Meehan about this, and he was open ears to it. I think it's something that we really need to do at this stage. As Council Scott brings up, as you start looking at the transportation environment in the city, and we start to get into Link and we start to get into other things, hopefully we can get that conversation together and put those parties together and see if there is a way that we can put them together to make it work. So if we can think about that for future development, hopefully we can make it work. Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. May. Through the council, councilors and Councilor Scott and I briefly spoke about this previously, but this discussion has it's been ongoing. I spoke with Chancellor Chen in regards to the issue that was just brought forward, but I also spoke with Mr. Bradley over at the LRTA, and they are indeed looking at this. So if any of the councilors have any ideas and want to send them to me, and I know one councilor here might have a little bit of an idea on busing, but bringing that stuff forward and sending it to Mr. Bradley, I think he's all ears, because he is definitely going to be looking at this as to what could happen. Some of the communities or some of the districts, unfortunately, we see one person on a large bus, and Dave and Mr. Bradley and I spoke about that at length, about how to potentially double up some routes that Councilor Scott is talking about, and try to find out how we can still make sure we take care of that one or two people in a different part of the community. So this is something that is extremely difficult, as Mr. Bradley has told me. Very excited. I think this is a very timely motion, and I even look forward to what I think is going to be the excitement to find out how we can better serve the residents with public transportation. So I'll be eagerly awaiting this and working with Mr. Bradley on this.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.5, Councilor Scott, request city manager provide a report detailing the responsibilities associated with National Grid's installation of new poles within the city. The report should also include information on compliance with the American with Disabilities Act, procedures for tree removal, and the process for removal of existing poles. Seconded by Councilor Mercia. Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really don't know what say we have with National Grid and their work that they do within the city. We've talked about double poles. Councilor Leahy's not here, but we've had this conversation over and over and over again about them not removing the poles. What I've witnessed now on streets where they're putting in new poles for Markley Corp. Around Manchester Street, Blossom Street, down Woburn Street, instead of sistering the poles next to each other, these large, massive new poles that they're putting in that are so much larger than what's already there are going behind the existing poles. They're taking up half the sidewalk. You couldn't get a stroller down Manchester Street right now, never mind a person in a wheelchair. So I wanted to find out, what is their responsibility? How do they work with the city to make sure they don't hinder ADA compliance within the city or take away from residents, like I said, access? And then the last point, the tree removal. I know Councilor Getchia has brought this up a few times, but I mean, what is their response? I know they are allowed to clear around the lines, but is there any work that they do within the city to make sure they're not overextending what they're supposed to be doing? I don't know if, the tree committee was brought up by Councilor Getchia. I don't know if that's something. So you could just come back with, what are the rules, I guess, around the work that National Grid does? I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.6, Councilor Scott and Councilor Yem. Request city manager have the appropriate department explore the feasibility of installing a floating walkway connecting Dutton Street and Western Ave. No second needed.
Scott.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So a few people have asked what a floating sidewalk or floating boardwalk, whatever you want to call it, is. So I received an email from, I can't remember who it was, Cool, I think it was, about them providing shuttle buses over to Western Avenue Studios, and they were going to start doing them from downtown over to the studio. So it actually made me have a thought about this, but there's a story that I had read about Williams Lake Boardwalk in Marlboro. It's a floating boardwalk that they installed with ARPA funds that was about 3,000 feet long along their lake for residents to be able to walk along. So I had the idea possibly to be able to connect from Dutton Street, run along Dunkin' Donuts, underneath the railroad bridge, and be able to connect to Western Avenue Studios, because right now Western Avenue Studios is just really cut off because of the railroad tracks there. So I did broach it a little bit to DPD before I brought it forward. And they thought that something that they could definitely look at. And I think it's just a creative solution to be able to connect Western Avenue Studios to downtown. Thank you.
Councilor Young?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Life jackets to the motion too, Councilor Scott. Life jackets and boats. Go ahead, Councilor Young.
When Councilor Scott mentioned to me, I thought it's a great idea, because I've been asked about the walkway from the new courthouse along the river, and then and when Councilor Scott mentioned, I say, yeah, I'm on board. It's an excellent idea, and hopefully we can look into it and get it done. Thank you again.
Sorry, behind you, there's a picture behind you of the one in Marlboro. So this would go along the canal wall, though. So, thank you.
Floating. That's a walking bridge. It's not floating. Makes a lot more sense, though. So yes, fully support the motion, Councilor Scott. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Section 77.1 A, motion response Tuskegee Airmen commemoration letter. Councilor Yum.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the letter. It's great, and I'm hoping that with the support from the city, that the state will move forward to make this happen. Thank you again.
B, motion response letter. Yes, in God's backyard. Councilor Gitcha.
Thank you.
Motion response C.
Mr. Mayor,
Actually,
I just want to comment on motion response A and B. Those two letters were outstanding. So whoever compiled them, you can do your writing for me anytime. That was very, very good. Thank you.
Motion response C, outstanding debt and school building projects. Councilor Belanger.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, through you, I would like to thank Connor Baldwin, Chief Financial Officer of the City of Lowell, for this extremely well-detailed report on outstanding debt for our school building projects. And it's quite visible that this council has made a very serious, concerted effort to repair and maintain our schools in the last 4 or 5 years. So it has really ramped up, but obviously the big ticket item here is Lowell High School, let's face it. And if we can just rewind just a little bit, during that time, 2016, 2017, I mean, it was basically a location battle, but there was no discussion whatsoever as far as costs of the high school, what the cost would be. Everybody was in agreement citywide that we needed a new high school for the future of our children. So there's no going back on that. That was obviously one of the best decisions we've made in our city's history. But now we are living with the details of the financial aspects of the project. And I remember greatly that, this was 80% MSBA and 20% City of Lowell. But until you live it, you realize that was a little unrealistic. So, Mr. Mayor, through you to CFO Baldwin, Connor, it looks like the total project costs for right now are in the neighborhood of $381 million. Is that correct?
CFO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That is correct, Councilor. So it was the $340 million from the original bond plus the 38 or so million. So the 38,568 was authorized later for the high school. So
for the COVID cost, more or less, yes. So for a combined 381 million, but 20% of that would be approximately 77 million. And we're into this so far for 111 million. Is that accurate?
So the difference there, Counselor, through you, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
is the difference between the reimbursement rate and what we often refer to as the effective reimbursement rate. This is something that's come up from time to time in discussion on these school building projects, where the MSBA and the core program, where the Lowell High School is a part of the core program for new buildings, major renovation projects, not everything is reimbursable. And so the plainest way I can say this is that some reimbursement requests are reimbursed on an 80-20 basis, but there are things which are either wholly ineligible. Those are things like site costs, acquisition. A lot of the demolition costs are ineligible or are capped at a certain dollar threshold. What is the biggest sort of factor in that, in determining the effective reimbursement rate, is there is a cap on the dollar per square footage. We were capped when we went into the program at $333 per square foot. For any of us and our friends in construction or people who are familiar, the dollar per square foot in construction is much higher than that. And so every dollar above that threshold is something that's part of the local share. So that's how you end up, and in the report we put the total local share after the amended loan order at approximately $111 million on the city taxpayers' dime.
Correct, and that's, according to my math, that's closer to 30, that's about 30%, and fortunately, we're not done, right? We've got another shortfall with the basement in the 1922 building, so there's some rough waters ahead, you know, to a small degree, not to the extent of what we've spent already. But I understand what you're saying. So the costs of like eminent domain, certain rooms like Katie's Closet in the store are not reimbursable by MSBA, correct? Like sidewalks around the high school, that's basically all on us, correct?
That's correct, Counselor. So things like you mentioned, as well as relocation costs associated with the eminent domain, and other costs associated either above the caps, or in those ineligible categories are ineligible wholly. But we did know that going in. It is part of the grant. It's a discretionary grant, so we're sort of at the will of the school building authority, and it is such a beneficial project for Gateway, such a beneficial program for gateway cities that there's not much negotiation that can happen in that.
I get it. Okay. Well, thank you. I mean, this is basically about curiosity and transparency to the taxpayers of why, you know, where the project's at and where the taxpayers' dollars are going. Any word yet on the additional costs on the basement of 22? Do we have any information on that yet? Any ballpark figures? Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. We actually have a meeting tomorrow, Assistant City Manager Machado, and then Thursday we're going to have the SBC meeting. I don't expect them to be bringing any numbers just yet, but it's forthcoming. I believe it was June that we were talking about. By the end of June,
Okay.
Money.
All right. Thank you. Well, I guess in closing, you know, again, some rough waters ahead. However, silver lining here is through your sound fiscal management, Mr. Baldwin, we got a very good credit bond rating, in other words, credit rating, where our interest rate is on the lower side rather than higher, so that's helpful. So going forward, it's just basically sound, responsible fiscal management moving forward. This is foreseeable. We know it's coming, and I have all the confidence in the world that's going to budget appropriation will be top notch. So thank you again for this detailed report. I know it took a lot of time, but please let us know as soon as we get these final numbers in so we can see where these final numbers that we're going to be amortizing for this high school project. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
How's it get you?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to CFO Baldwin, thank you for the calculations. Do we see any debt coming off of our end prior to FY27?
CFO?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is debt that has recently come off, and those are older school building projects, but we have tried to layer on new debt, so debt from the capital plans, and it's been sort of an expanded capital plan from this council and the prior in terms of roadway improvements and building improvements, park improvements, et cetera, that new debt will come on. And so, you know, our strategy overall is to layer on new debt as that old debt comes off. There is not, maybe more directly to your question, Counselor, there is not a significant drop-off that we're seeing in the short term that would sort of allow for the new debt service for the high school, which in total will be about $8 million a year. There's nothing of that size that we see coming off.
That was where I was leading to. The evaluation of properties, and when you look at your debt limit, could you explain that so people at home can understand how you come to that number? And if you do hit that debt limit number, that would be over the Proposition 2.5 limit, wouldn't it, in the end? So we could never even get to that number because we would go over it anyway, right? Yeah, okay. The mayor's answering, so yeah, I get that point.
Mr. Mayor,
I got it for you. You're good to go. Anything else, Councilor Getchia?
I guess just tell us how you got to the debt limit.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm thankful that this motion was made because it gives me a chance to talk about debt.
It's right in his bailiwick.
So there is a legal limit set by statute of a maximum amount of debt that any community can have, and it's set at 5% of the equalized valuation. The equalized valuation, meaning the total value of all the properties in Lowell, real estate, personal property, et cetera. That number for Lowell is $13.7 billion. 5% of that is $688 million. That is the total amount of debt that the city can ever have outstanding at any particular time. We currently have $406 million outstanding. So there's a series of calculations listed in the motion response. It's going to be online if anybody was interested in walking through those. We also include that in the budget. So we have $281 million in capacity, but I do want to make a point that having that capacity to take on debt is different than having the room in the operating budget to service the debt. So we pay, just like a mortgage on a home, you may have a total principal amount outstanding, but every month you have to make your mortgage payment, and that is the sort of real world example of debt service. So every year we have 2 interest payments that we make on these outstanding debt obligations, as well as 1 principal payment. Most debt is outstanding, for about 30 years. Some have a shorter term, and that goes to your question about when debt comes off. So it's either 15 or 30 years from when it's issued. And we do have an amount that's listed here of what's called authorized unissued debt, and that amount represents loan orders that have been authorized, but we haven't actually issued the debt, so they're not in payback yet. Those would be things like this past June, the council authorized a $175 million loan order for sewer separation. That is mostly all outstanding. And then finally, if I may, there is a classification under the statute for debt that is either inside the debt limit or outside the debt limit. So the limit only applies to those things that are within that category. Those are things like roadway improvements, sidewalks, park improvements. But there's a special classification for things that are outside the debt limit for underground work. So that's water, sewer purposes are outside the debt limit. School building projects under Chapter 70B are outside the debt limit. And the reason I think that the legislature provided that is that communities would not do that work if they were subject to a limitation. And so we can have more debt outstanding for water and sewer work because it's so expensive. So thank you for your patience, Mr. Mayor.
That's a good chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That's it. Everybody's good? Okay. Motion response D, Combined Facilities Department with attachments, Councilor Dakota, Councilor Getchia, Councilor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. See how I did that right in front of Eric. Mr. Baldwin, thank you very much. Very informative response. Mr. Manager, I would assume that you have been in some preliminary discussions with the superintendent of schools at this point? You have, okay. This question to the city solicitor, page 3 of Mr. Baldwin's response. In conclusion, it is the recommendation of the administration that the vote of the City Council be considered in advance of the budget hearings, as this will provide adequate time for further public deliberation by both the City Council and the school committee. Is that something that we can vote on tonight, City Solicitor, or do we have to go through another process?
Mr. Solicitor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's actually a vote on the agenda tonight to take this very vote on the City Council side.
There is?
Yes. So you're well within your rights to do so.
All right, and at that point, if this does get approved with the majority of, this will need to go to the school committee for a majority vote as well. Is that correct?
Public hearing first, right? Public hearing? Good. Mr. Manager? CFO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in doing the research and working closely with the city solicitor, it would require a vote of this body first, and then the school committee would then need to accept the provision of the statute, Chapter 71, Section 37M, by majority vote. And then the best practice that's recommended by the state is that we come to terms on a memorandum of understanding, not unlike the MOU we have for maintenance of effort, to outline all of the details related to a consolidation. And we're talking about a consolidation of the maintenance function or the facilities functions. So taking a portion of the Public Works Department on the city side and the custodial maintenance function on the school side and formally combining them. Now, there are certain labor considerations that will need to be taken under advisement. We'll need to, there will be certain requirements of the city that certainly the solicitor can provide more detail on it if necessary. We'll need to bargain that with the respective unions and research their collective bargaining agreements. But that would be the process, and that is, if the council were so inclined, we could start that here this evening.
We can start this evening. That's one step forward, and the potential cost savings are there. So I would hope that my colleagues would vote in the affirmative tonight, but I'll defer to my colleagues for their thoughts.
Councilor Goodyear?
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Through you to Manager Golden. I guess my question is, after looking at all the organizational charts, the new positions that will take over Facilities Department, would that position be in line with the commissioner, or would it fall under the commissioner? Because falling under the commissioner does basically the same thing we have. If it fell in line with the commissioner, they were both on the same level in the organization chart, because you're talking 111 other employees plus other pieces to go with it. I think it would be imperative to do that. In most communities, that's what happens. There's a DPW side and there's a facility side, and they come together and they work together, not as an hierarchy in the organizational chart. And I think it's important to understand that, that position should be something that oversees, because of the amount of people that it would oversee. It would be a total new piece in that area, and that would be the important piece, but I don't see it in here, so if you could just help us with that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Councilor, you're correct. This is a draft. Think of this as the first offer. The council would have the opportunity to say, the school committee, please look at this, and we can enter into this as the CFO was talking about within Chapter 71. There's an opportunity. And while I'm saying this, we have a lot going on at DPW right now. This would, and I don't want to say complicated, I think you're going down the right path, but we would be changing the ordinance at some point in time. So making an assumption that this council accepts this, the school committee accepts it, that only is the start of something. So who would be reporting to whom, et cetera, is something that is still up for interpretation. And I did catch on the draft piece at the very end, the organizational chart of DPW, the DPW engineering, lands and buildings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would anticipate a lot of that would be changing once we got everybody in the room to find out which jobs will be done by whom. But I don't want to say it's a long way away, but this is the start of a discussion. if that's the best I have right now to see if we can move forward.
So currently, who does the Commissioner of DPW report to? He reports to you, right, directly? Okay, so that position, if it was equal, would report to you also, right? Or, so the Assistant City Manager of Operations, is that who the DPW Commissioner reports to also? Okay, so that's my question, is when you start looking at this path, it gets convoluted between the two when you get into the school department now. Because, you know, for 100 years, the school department has complained about the facilities and how they're taken care of. Well, we're coming to a path where we're saying we have some sort of a solution to try to help this out. So I don't know how many people could vote against it and say, you know, we're not trying to do something that's outside the box thinking, and many communities have a path for already. So I think it would be wise to look at this and say, okay, we're going to put somebody in charge who understands this platform, and they're going to take over, because the custodians clean the buildings that we own. And if they're not doing their jobs, things fall apart. And if they are doing their jobs and someone's not maintaining the other end, things fall apart. And when things fall apart, everybody can point across aisles at each other when you don't report to the same person. If a person you report to now has charge of that and can oversee where the issues are, it makes more sense. Where you have two people saying it's your side, our side, and I think the mayor probably experiences it more than anybody, or even Mayor Chow at the time. That's what happens, is people say, oh, it's your side, our side, and nothing really ever gets done. So I think this is an important step to try to get this conversation going. And if it breaks down in between, it breaks down in between. But if everybody wants the best environment for the students, the staff, and the visitors that come into these buildings and municipal areas, I think this is the best way to start the process and make it work. And I thank my colleagues for supporting this when we put it in a couple of years back. Thank you.
Councilor Robertson?
Thank you. I'd first like to say thank you, because I know this has been something that we've talked about, I believe, since the manager started, and I'm sure long before. I'm actually excited to see that a first step of this magnitude has been taken, and the reality is on the horizon, I think. Now, I know there are some circumstances that are still outstanding. We don't know a lot of what-ifs. I agree. As you broke down with the organizational charts, I almost feel like it's a good time to start a blank one and fill in those spots, as the manager mentioned, as we go along, as you kind of start carving out responsibilities and duties as to who underneath the new organizational chart, because you have, you know, DPW, admin, finance, all the different divisions within the DPW. But this facilities would almost be a brand new division within the DPW, I'd imagine. And again, the pilot is going to be Lowell High School. It's pretty much going to be ground zero for the rollout of this type of thing, and then expand out into the future. Just a quick housekeeping thing I noticed on the organizational charts. I know for sure that in the past, the cemetery's working foreman reported directly to the commissioner. And a lot of that had to do with, if you look at the pay structure within that organization, the working foreman for the cemeteries reported directly to the commissioner, because the duties and responsibilities, they consolidated a couple positions when I believe it was Tom Belgard left. And that working foreman cemeteries assumed a portion of those duties. As a result, the pay scale reflected that. And so that pay scale, if it reported directly to the superintendent or the person below, there was a domino effect that triggered, I believe, the contractual language was like a 5 or 10% increase based on the person you directly supervise. So that's why that was carved out in that job description, to report directly to the commissioner. And also because it's kind of one of the few areas within the DPW that it's an enterprise account, when you start talking about the cemeteries with the plots, selling plots and all that, there was a little bit of nuance in there. In addition, one of the concerns that I had is when I looked at the draft of the job description, I think it's a great start. I think it's an excellent draft, but I would plead for the manager and his team to consider please adding a CSL requirement, construction supervisor license, for the simple fact, I mean, some of the key responsibilities listed, obviously leadership, management, inspections, maintenance, maintenance planning, safety and compliance. You're overseeing contractors, vendors, and work by external people. A lot of this should be within someone's wheelhouse where you're familiar with the codes, because you're going to have to be examining the work that's done by both in-house and external employees, and a lot of this is governed by code. So I think it's only fair that a construction supervisor license would be able to oversee that in that capacity. And I think that's about it. I think everything else looks good. I think there should be a path. I don't see why the schools wouldn't want this, as was mentioned by my colleague. I think it's a great opportunity to improve the quality of learning and teaching environment, and an environment that the families and parents and friends want to visit. In addition, if it's, again, when you start talking at unions, there's no reason with a newly created department within Public Works or something like that, whatever this looks like organizationally, maybe there is a path forward where, as far as union membership goes, that may still be able to stay in place on the sides. It's just the direct report and negotiating additional responsibilities and duties, and also kind of allocating those responsibilities and duties with buy-in from all those involved. So I really thank you and your team for carving out a great starting first step. Thank you.
All right, so if I'm hearing the council correctly, we can vote this evening to start the process. In order to do that, we do have Rule 28, which waives the public hearing process of it all. And what happens is under special state legislation, we are eligible to waive the public hearing to get the ball started. I know in the report, it said, if you do it before the budget hearing, budget process, that's even better. I don't know if we're quite there yet, but that'll be a situation. If you want to vote on it tonight, we need a motion to waive Rule 28 by Councilor Gitcha, second by Councilor Dakota. It has to be unanimous. If one person goes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So you don't actually have to waive Rule 28. Rule 28 says in and of itself that accepting a statute would fall under this type of legislative action by the council. It can be done in one session. The caveat is it has to be unanimous. If one of the councilors were to object, then we would go to a public hearing. Otherwise, it is well within, that's why it's in the vote itself. You can see we put in Council Rule 28, just so that you know it's there. You can do it all tonight if you want it, as long as it's unanimous. Otherwise, we'd have to have a public hearing.
Councilor Gitcha.
Can I make a motion to take 8.1 out of order and do this at the same time as we're doing what we're doing right now? Mr. Mayor, suspend the rules to take 8.1 out of order.
We should take 8.1 out of order, second by Councilor Dakota.
Just for clarification, it has to be. Yeah, sure.
Councilor Robinson and Councilor Dakota.
Thank you. I just have a quick question. This is page, I don't know, right before the attachment to the first organizational chart, that paragraph there. So this vote that we take tonight, will that impact what's in this report? Perhaps the most advantageous aspect of such a formal merger would be the potential cost savings. It'd be achieved by consolidating custodial workforce and considering a hybrid model using contracted services. The contracted services piece, I'm not really sure how that plays into this. Does this vote automatically authorize a move in that direction? I hope not. And then also, I do see while deliberation occurs on such a consolidation, the council can still move forward to create the structure by ordinance. So currently this vote will just establish the structure by ordinance, and then all the other pieces will end up getting worked out.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. I can't stress enough that this is a draft, right? This is a draft, and out of respect for the superintendent, Skinner, who is doing a fine job, the school committee, we still need to discuss CBAs, how this is going to actually operate. And Mr. Solicitor, I want to make sure that this is a draft opportunity to almost enter into a negotiation with the school committee to see if they want to move forward with this. There is something that is coming. to make sure in the budget we're going to present is going to be a facilities department over at the high school, which this council has voted for. And so once again, org charts, et cetera, all of this is going to be brought back in, rolled around, figured out where we can go, figured out where the CBAs are. This council has made it one of its missions, I believe, and I believe you've invested tens of millions of dollars in our schools. We still have a long way to go. We have a high school that is moving right now, but tens of millions of dollars through MSBAR, which is proven by the last debt that we put forward. So all of these org charts, I truly believe that this council, and I'm hoping that the school committee believes this, that this is going to be a better educational experience for our teachers, for our students, to make sure that we're all on the same page. And that experience could be anything environmentally, whether it's got to be warm where it needs to be warm, it's going to be cold where it needs to be cold, as far as air conditioning and everything else. This is what I truly believe this council wants to move forward. But it is with hand-in-glove approach with Superintendent Skinner, the school committee, and I would envision this completely as a draft opportunity to start the discussion in a more formal manner in making this vote. I want to make sure, and the solicitors already talked about that. So anything in here about moving people, we have, once again, coalition bargaining agreements, CBAs, there's a whole bunch of things that we need to do. We're hoping that it would be something that could be accepted from the school committee. I hope that has answered any trepidation that anyone's had or any concern about taking anyone's rights or anything else at this time.
Councilor Dakota?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for clarification, so this would need a unanimous vote tonight, which would then be brought to the school committee. The school committee would then need a unanimous vote as well? No, a majority vote, correct? City Solicitor, through you to the mayor.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the only reason it's a unanimous vote tonight is because we're going to do this all in one session instead of, first reading, second reading. Once this goes over to the school committee, they have a different set of rules. My guess is it may have its first reading, it may go up. It normally would just require a majority vote. The statute would only require a majority vote.
Thank you very much.
All right, so motion by Councilor Getchia, second by Councilor Dakota. Mr. Clerk, roll call on 8.1. Oh, sorry. Vote to accept the provisions of Section 37M of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 71, regarding consolidation of administrative functions. By Councilor Getchia, second by Councilor Dakota. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilor Noon.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Councilor Yem.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Councilor Chow.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Getchia.
Yes.
Councilor Janice.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Oh, Rita.
I had to do it.
7.2, informational reports. Parking Department presentation. Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. We have Mr. Ryan here tonight from our parking department to have a discussion about what has been happening over there. Council, once again, has been very, paying attention to what's happening over there, making sure the cleanliness is up to par, and making sure that the properties are being taken care of appropriately. So I thought it'd be important to have Mr. Ryan in, and once again, from our informational standpoint, to make sure that everybody knows what's happening throughout the city. Mr. Ryan.
Thank you very much. I'd like to lead off by introducing Todd Gilbert from Laz Parking. He's the general manager for Laz, and I thought it was important for him to be here tonight to listen to this, and if there's any questions for him or myself. Laz will be participating in a neighborhood community cleanup Friday. Their people will be working down on the boulevard around Duck Island starting at 10, and they're working with the Lowell litter crew. So that'll be taking place Friday. Just wanted to, talk about parking, what's going on in parking. Go over some of the facilities, parking overview, the garages, facility improvements, garage security, financials, some of the smaller projects we're working on, and any community involvement we're participating in. Included here, thank you for moving that, A couple of the maps that are available on the webpage. We have a map of where all the kiosks are loaded, and if you hit on those green circles, it'll give you information about that kiosk and where it's located. Right next to that, we also have on the webpage access to the charge point stations. Right now, we have 70 ports of EV charging in the city. The last 4 coming online last month, we added 2 stations to the early garage on the 2nd floor so that people that had pass cards had access to those longer than the 1st floor. So those were just added. Let's see. Staff overview. Excuse me. We work 6 days a week, Monday through Friday. We have staggered shifts. Monday through Friday, we're 8 to 4, and then we have people that come in 10 to 6, and then we have a group that come in till 10 o'clock at night. So that was brought on for like neighborhood because of the residential parking ordinance that goes until 10 o'clock. So we have people on the street a lot more than we have in the past. Right now, on average, each officer writes about 50 tickets a day, okay? And that translates into almost about $1,600 a day per officer that they're bringing into the city in citations. We get into the mission statement that we have as a department. We want to provide an effective, efficient parking infrastructure and transportation mobility solutions to get people where they need to be, as well as diligently enforcing local and statewide parking regulations, all while preserving the priority of customer service. Services overview. We work to provide, maintain accessible, convenient, and appealing on and off-street parking to the visitors and the residents of Lowell. The parking department supports the parking needs of local businesses and institutions with over 6,000 spaces in our garages that operate on a 24/7 basis. We have 1,700 metered on-street parking spaces and 753 spaces in lots that we maintain. The personnel of the parking department administrate residential parking programs, and the enforcement team ensures parking compliance by applying fair and consistent enforcement. And all of this is located on our parking department link. If you look at the first page, we have a picture of our staff on top of the new Hamilton garage. In that picture, you'll see 3 cars. Since that time, 1 has been totaled. Nobody was hurt, but we are trying to get that replaced right now. We control those signs, the ever-popular green and white signs, the newer passport signs that you see out on the streets for the different zones. And in the bottom right, that's the residential sticker that we use in the residential neighborhoods on the north and south campus. Just a quick overview of the citations that have been issued over the past few years. 2023 was a transition year, going from the old kiosks to the newer kiosk, and we only had a couple of enforcement officers on the street. 24 was a good year. We had new kiosks. We were building the team. 2025, the numbers we expect will beat the 2024 numbers. We have 6 employees now. I have 1 open rec, and I hope to have that person on the street in a few weeks. I had 33 applicants for that job, which was great. It was a great response. As far as fines go, you can see that we're already at $588,000 in fines. We've collected about 71% of that. Okay, the citation counts and I went over through this. The 23 numbers were low. Since that time, you know, we have working kiosks. Kiosks are working fantastic. We have a full staff, and we did a rate adjustment back in April of 23. All factors that help the parking department, the city, everything. With 6 people out there, not only are we writing more tickets, but people see our enforcement out there, and so they know, you know, we're enforcing, so they will pay the meters because they know we're out there. So it's a good thing. We have 15-minute parking that is available on Central, Gorham, Merrimack, Market, and Palmer Streets. At the kiosks, there's a button, and when you start the process of paying for parking, it offers you a button for free 15 minutes. If you hit that button, type in your license plate, you get free 15 minutes to run in, grab a coffee or a sub, and then move on your way. Very popular. About 1,500 people a month use that option. Let's see, we have about 143, well, an exact number, 143 kiosks on the street. They're located within the city. They were on that map. All the street parking, on-street parking can be paid by either using a kiosk or the app, okay? And you'll see by some of these numbers, transaction-wise, it's pretty even on the Passport and the Flowbird and what people use, but revenue-wise, the Passport brings in a little more revenue, okay? Let's see, the latest kiosk, we added a third kiosk to the early garage just last month because it was so busy over there. Outside of parking, we're into the renovation business. We're renovating 2 garages, the Ayotte and the Downs garage. It's a big $5 million job. We're replacing flange connectors, and you can see on these pictures, many flange connectors in both of those garages. Flange connectors connect the 2 pieces of cement flooring together. There's thousands of them in the 2 garages. And a lot of them have to be dug out. They have to be repaired, re-welded. We have to put in new rebar in a few of them, and then we cement them back in. It's a big job, but it's going well. There aren't as many problems and broken flanges as they first expected to find. So that's good because it makes the job easier and it's saving us a little money. We're replacing all the sealants in the 2 garages, and what that means is they have to dig the sealant out between the floors. Then they have to go in there with a power washer, a hydroblaster, which is a power washer on steroids, and they blast it all out and they clean the cracks, they clean everything out, and then they go back in and they put the sealant back in. We're also doing the exterior sealant on the garages, so you'll see the boom lifts out there doing the outside of it. This has been held up. This is weather dependent. Like this week, we lost a lot of time on sealant, but we hope to make it up next week. Go to the next page. One of the bigger problems we had was at the Downs garage. In the basement, there were several pillars that were split, and that's from years of rain seeping into the garage. So we had 3 or 4 of these pillars in the basement, all rebuilt, dug out and rebuilt, and re-cemented. And during this, we had to shore up the basement. We had to shore up the first floor. We have really inconvenienced a lot of people in the 2 garages by closing sections off and opening them up, and water and dirt and dust. But it's a job that has to be done. It's a real nuts and bolts job. It's a job that had to be done for these 2 garages. So the basement pillars have been fixed, and we're working on those drains. You'll see the drain pipes now. We're replacing a lot of the drain pipes following that work. Up on the roof of the 2 garages, there were capstones along the outside edge, and in many places these capstones were not held in place by the way they should be, and they were actually sliding around and moving. And so we took all the pillars off, we put them all back on, the ones that we could use, and we used special dowels built into the copper overlay to hold those capstones in place, and then we mortared them in place to make sure they wouldn't move anywhere. Okay? And then the capstones we couldn't use, we got rid of, and we refilled with new capstones. Another big part of the job is replacing the drain pipes. Approximately 200 drains are being replaced in both garages, and in a lot of cases, the cement that is holding them in had to be replaced. So that was the work between the plumbing sub-vendor and the contractor to dig those out, make sure the holes are the right size, and get those drains in. We're probably 60–70% complete with the drains that we have to replace. At the Ayotte and the Downs, we're replacing the stairway roofs. These are the original roofs of both garages. We're replacing them with rubber form-fitting roofs that will not leak. We did have a problem with one of these stairway roofs was leaking, and it caused the interior ceiling at the Downs garage to collapse when everything started to thaw out just this spring. So we'll have that fixed, but with the roofs fixed, we shouldn't have leaks in the future, and we'll also be able to repair all the lights at each of the doorways. The exit lights, the safety lights, things like that, they'll also be repaired. We're also repairing the expansion joints in the garages, and that's at the bottom of the page 13 here. They're a thicker rubber connection that allows the garage to flex and bend as any garage will and should do. Okay? These are subject to plow damage and just overall wear and tear, but they are being replaced, and they will help preserve the garage and keep the water out. The biggest thing we have to do is keep the water out of the garages, and that starts on the roof with the sealant on the roof. So it's very important to have the sealant and these expansion joints that make sure the water goes down the drains with drains that work. At the office at 75 John Street, it was determined that the storefront windows, the aluminum holding the windows in place was all rotted, basically from rock salt. And so all of that is being replaced, and just this week they started replacing the aluminum frame. So I hope by the end of June we'll have all new windows in place, and we'll be able to see in and out of that office, which will help us because we do not like not being able to see what's going on out there. So hopefully the frame, they'll get that done this week. In order to get where we are now, we've spent all winter fixing cement, and we've used heaters and heat blankets just to keep the program going. We started late. We didn't start until right after the Folk Fest last year. We started the Monday after the Folk Fest, and we hope to be finished by the Folk Fest this year. It's going to be tight. I think the Ayotte will be complete. The Downs will be. We're on a race to get that done by the Folk Fest. So we're really moving fast. Let's see, this page, the next page, you'll see a picture of, there we go, the water buffalo that Laz just purchased. Yeah, it's a water buffalo. It's a power washer. So we will be using that in the garage to power wash all the garages. And they have already completed all of the garages, all the stairways, and they've gone through and they've done the Hamilton Canal, and we're going to go through all of the garages, all of the car spaces, the islands, everything. We're going to power wash everything and clean it up, and we will have all that ship shape and ready to go way before the Folk Festival. But, so summer, the events that we have, we want to have these garages well kept. Mulching has already started at all the garages, and I should say it's already completed. Laz put down 30 yards of mulch, and it's probably the earliest it's ever been done. Okay, it really went well this year, and we also added some evergreen plants to the front of the Leroy garage right out on Market Street because we thought it looked a little bare out there. We put a few evergreens in to kind of brighten things up. You'll see we have pictures at Lowell, all of the garages, the front, the back, all the garages that need it, we've completed that. We have one more, we added one garage to the new equipment list. We put new gates in at the Leo Roy Garage on Market Street, and that was just installed back in November. So now we have the Early Garage, the Lowell Locks Garage, and Leo Roy with brand-new Amano 1 equipment, and it runs fantastic. It does a lot more. We're still learning what it can do, and we can operate it from the office. We can put the gates up from the office. We can put the gates up from my phone. Up, down, all of that. We can do all of that. We have access to do that. We have new validations there, and people are actually paying for their daily parking using their phone. They're not even stopping at the gate. They're not going to the kiosk, the pay-on-foot machine. They're just using their phone to pay for parking, and they drive right out. Okay? We have a request for bids out right now for the Downs Garage, the Early Garage, no, the Downs Garage and the AAR Garage, and a couple of the smaller lots. We got the electric sub bid in, and now we're just waiting. I think tomorrow the bids are due for the parks equipment, and hopefully we can get at a minimum the Downs and the AR done as fast as we can. It would be nice to have them for the Folk Fest. I don't know, but we'll get them in, and we're getting them fast. The lower left picture right there is the new EV station at the Early Garage. And on the right, you'll see a picture that Laz has painted all the EV stations in the garages. All of the parking spaces have been painted green. They even painted, I think, Davidson lot, the EV chargers there. So everything is identified. I will say we did that Early Garage that was just put in. We got a state EVIP grant for that. We received $45,000 to get that put in, which means the parking department, I'm on the hook for $5,000 to pay for some of the electrical work. Other than that, the EVIP program picked up everything, and that was a fantastic deal. Let's see, we have 70 stations. The next page, you'll see some of the smaller projects we've done. We've line striped the Davidson lot. We're going to line stripe Lot A. We've done the arrows at Lowell Locks, the in and out arrows. We helped Lowell High School repaint their door last fall. The door was all faded with the old Lowell High symbol, so we worked with the art teacher and a student, and they had a design contest, and that's the design that was selected, and that's on the door. It's been up there close to a year. Okay? We also had some great help from DPW. On the 4th floor of the Leo Roy Garage, there was a set of stairs, 2 steps that led to a walkway into Canal Place, a little bridge that goes into the building. Mason Brian Lamar, DPW, went over there, and he was able to repair those stairs and add 2 railings to greatly improve the safety of those steps over there. And so I just want to thank them for that work. That made a big difference. Let's see, we purchased a new vehicle. We had a 2011 Ford Transit Connect, basically stopped running. It was done. So we were able to purchase that vehicle. We used the kiosk technician uses that to move equipment around, repair equipment, and we also use it for handling financial things. We also have the new kiosks that we're able to program for events. The lower left picture there will show a typical event rate screen on the screen that gets programmed. We do that for $20 for big events, $15 for kids events, and we work the event zones over at the yellow signs. Every day there's an event. We know we have to do it at least 3 hours before the event, and we take them down the next day. Let's see. Just some of the community involvement. Sorry, that's a little small. We've provided over 47,000 free 15-minute parking blocks since it came online. We provide 500 free parking placards for Folk Festival volunteers, helping the foundation get their volunteers to come into town and do the work. We've provided Folk Festival parking to city employees at the Lower Locks Garage. We've donated. On a yearly basis, we make a donation to the Folk Festival Foundation based on the amount of cars we park, and last year it was 42,000, which is the highest amount we've ever donated to them. We support the Folk Festival also in another way because we started using the Leroy Garage and the Downs Garage, first floors, all totally handicapped parking. Those two garages were selected because they're right in the middle of all the events, the stages, and it's very convenient for people with handicaps to park right there. They just have to walk out the door and they're at the show. We've successfully supported the parking needs of the Jehovah's Witnesses Convention that have come to Lowell for the past several years, 3 weekends out of July. This year they're coming for 2 weekends. We're all set up and we're expecting them 2 weeks before the Folk Festival. Let's see. We've also supported all of the graduation needs. PWHL, we had a great year with PWHL parking. Wish they had had a longer season. We'd have a better season. But, you know, we parked 12,000 cars, close to 13,000 cars for those games. So that's an incredible turnaround. And the UMass hockey, close to 6,000 cars, and, you know, we bring in a lot of money in those events, and it's a lot of hard work by the people at Laz who are pre-selling, standing out there in the snow and the rain, getting those people in the garage and getting them out afterwards. And we certainly appreciate the police helping at the rotaries and the crosswalks and things like that. So it's a team effort. With that, we still have a lot of problems we're working on. It's not all great news, but you know, we keep working hard. Questions, comments?
I got Councilor Mercia, Councilor Janice, Councilor Dakota. Councilor Mercia, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Terry Ryan, I just want to reiterate a fact that Terry said earlier. And the reason I want to reiterate this is because within maybe 3 weeks, I heard this complaint twice. The same thing. Someone that I work with went to pick up a $20 takeout and came out with a $25 ticket on the car. I understand, and I'm sad about it. But that didn't have to happen. This is second time. Someone else told me the same thing, but it was another restaurant at another place downtown. And I'm sad hearing this because I felt, gee, we want to keep businesses here, and if they're going to keep getting ticketed, I'm going to, you know, that's kind of a no-brainer for seeing them, you know, they won't be coming down here if they're going to get ticketed. So I took this up with you, and I asked you about that. So I'm going to reiterate this for the people that are listening. I hope they understand. On each kiosk is a button, you said that, which you push that will give you 15 minutes free parking. You type in your license plate and you go in and you pick up your order, you take it out, and you don't have a ticket on your car. I don't want to hurt businesses. I don't want people to stop coming down and getting their dinner or their lunch or whatever quickly and leave. I want this to continue. I don't want them to be discouraged. So I'm going to say this many, many times, maybe on the radio, maybe on the TV. To take your order out, you go to the kiosk first, and you'll get your 15-minute free parking, but you type in your license plate. This is in the downtown area, Market Street, Merrimack Street, Central, Palmer, and there's one right up in the front of the old Danish Market. There's a new establishment restaurant there. So it is available, but I think people don't realize this. And I went to work and told the woman, she said, oh my God, I didn't even know that. I don't want people, because they don't know, to get ticketed and then the business owner downtown suffers from it. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to say it as many times as I can. This is very, very important. So thank you for letting me know that, because I actually didn't know that. So it's very important that I keep saying it. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Councilor Janice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Terry Ryan and Laz, I just want to thank you for all the hard work that you guys have been putting forward. You can really tell that things are improving. I noticed the evergreens in front of Leo Roy the other day. I was like, all right, these look good. And so this stuff is happening, and people who are downtown a lot can definitely see the improvements, and thank you for that, and want to continue seeing what's next. So I did have a couple small questions that have been presented to me several times by people. The first, I'll relate back to what Councilor Mercier just talked about with the 15-minute parking. One other time when we were here and we discussed this, I put forward the idea of maybe printing up like business card sized things that explain the process that we could give to the restaurants and other establishments downtown that they could give to their customers to help them when they come back and avoid a parking ticket. I didn't know if that was still something that was on the table being considered, and where we might be with that. But I did just wanted to mention that again. I don't need an answer right now. One thing that has come my way several times is questions about the electricity for the EV chargers. Right now, we aren't charging the customers to charge their cars. One of my neighbors keeps asking when the city is going to pay to fill his gas tank, and I told him that's probably not going to happen. And what's probably going to happen is we're going to start charging the customers for the electricity. I didn't know where we might be in that process, and if that's something that's on the horizon, or
I desperately want to do that. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
But it is on the radar. I definitely want to do it. I've talked to Catherine Moses a couple of times. I've gotten some information about how other towns set the price and things like that. So it's just a matter of me just really sitting down and getting that into an ordinance form and getting that up here for review and moving that along.
Okay.
Yes, but I definitely want to do that because it's money I'm losing.
Yep, appreciate that. Thank you. I've had a couple folks ask me about the visitor passes that are available around North and South Campus for the residents who have the resident stickers, and they can get visitor passes. That process seems like it could be improved, made more efficient. I didn't know if that was on the radar screen, something that might be on the list for down the road, things you want to.
We got kind of held up with passport parking,
Sure.
doing some of the digital permitting. So what we've done is maintained the old-fashioned paper visitor pass.
Right.
We've adjusted the price where we were going to do like $1 when it went digital. We were going to do a 10-pack for $10, and you could use those 10 anytime. You just had to activate them. So because we can't do that, we've kept it at $10 for a month, and we give them a paper. So you can still come down and get a visitor pass. You just have to show us the same paperwork you've always shown us, and we'll give you a visitor pass that's good for 30 days. Okay? And we kept it at 30 days just because there's a lot of people moving in and out of neighborhoods, and so we just want to keep an idea of how many we're sending out and how they're being used. So I really hope that we get the digital permitting, but now we're getting close to the end of the passport contract. And so it's something I need to look at moving forward, whether that's with Passport or another vendor, and how that would all get handled.
Okay.
So once again, it's on the list.
All right, I appreciate that. Yeah, the complaint that I've heard is for people who use them frequently for home health aides or whatever that need them constantly, having to come down to the office every month.
Should have their own placard.
Okay.
$10 placard, $10 per placard based on the last updates and the rate changes back in April 23. When we updated the rates, we do now charge $10 for healthcare placards for people to go into the neighborhoods, and that would be paid by the healthcare company, not so much the patient. So
Okay.
those are good for, you could get a healthcare placard, use it in the neighborhood, but they're not good downtown.
Yep, makes sense. Thank you. And then the last question I've had from folks who come in for events, whether it's a Riverhawks game, a PWHL game, something at the LMA, is the ability to purchase parking in advance. I know that, for instance, the university, you can do that for the lots that they have next to the Songus, but I don't think you can do that for the AI yet.
We
Yeah, you
introduced it this year.
Okay.
We get about 20 cars per event over at the Songus Arena. It's called Lasgo. It's right on the city website. You can go right to where it says events page. Click on that. I list the events for the upcoming week, and in the upper right-hand corner, it says Glasgow, and you can click on that, and it will list the PWHL games, anything that we have at Songus. It doesn't list Rivier's graduation or Lowell, but we're talking about doing that. We may even add the graduations so that you can prepay, and when you pull up, you just show the QR code, and we'll let you in the garage. Even if it's full, we'll let you in.
Well, that's good to know, because that's something that I didn't know was available, and I think many others do not. So we'll see how we can get the word out on that, because it probably make the parking attendants' lives a lot easier if 80% of the people show up with a QR code instead of 20 cars.
Less cash.
Yeah.
It's all electronic, and that's what we're looking for, an electronic transaction.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all the hard work and look forward to having this discussion a year from now and seeing where we're at then. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilor Dakota?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Terry, thanks for the report. Quick, could you give the council a status update on the elevator at the Downs garage?
It's in tough shape. Right now, we have a bid out for engineering design review of those elevators, and that is due, I think, within a week. And then that person will go in and look at the elevators and tell us what we can put out in an RFP to get those elevators repaired. I couldn't just go out and just get an elevator company and say, fix it.
No, I understand the RFP. Yeah. What are we looking at for time parameters for that?
I am told it's going to take him a few months to do the design study, and then there'll be documents put together, and we'll have to send that out, and that'll be out. It's not going to happen soon. It's not going to happen this summer for the Folk Fest.
It's just been a while. That's why. Yeah.
It's been a while. We've had the left elevator has been down for quite some time.
Yep.
And we just had a big repair on the right one to keep it going. And what was the problem last time was it was still wired to the one that was not working. So it expected that to come up so that could go down. It's elevator talk, but we had it fixed once again. But yeah, that's.
All right, so
I really came up here and said
we have an RFP going out shortly.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Councilor Belangelo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, through you to Terry Ryan. Terry, thanks for coming in tonight, and looks like that partnership with Laz is really working out. You seem to be very happy with their level of service, and you're doing a good job in staying on maintenance, so what's within your means, and pretty good report. But I'd like to ask you about special events and enforcement. So what are we out May to May? I guess parking attendants are out until 10 p.m. Is that accurate during the
Correct.
week?
Yes.
Okay, that explains it.
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. Okay. Now I understand the the need for special events in the garages, folk festivals and upcharge, events at UMass Lowell, any bigger, when you go in the garages, I get that. But the surface parking on the streets, I've gotten more complaints, I'll be honest with the enforcement, the amount of hours. Now, I understand what you're trying to accomplish. This enterprise needs money, and I totally understand that. But whether I went to the Golden Gloves over the winter, I come out of here, get a ticket, or whether I hear from people downtown, they come out of the restaurant, they got a ticket. Nobody's expecting a ticket at 8, 9 o'clock at night, I guess. And I think it's hurting the economic vitality of downtown businesses and people. You come out and you go to Lowell, you go to the restaurant, you go to the fight, you come out, you got a ticket. You may not come back. I'll be totally honest with you. That's what some of the tone on these people's voice. That's the impression I get. I would like to see us scale back, the hours of enforcement. I really would, or work with something with the restaurants in partnership. Or, I'd like to go in the other direction. I'd like to see on Saturday nights, on Saturdays, open the garage at 3 o'clock, no overnight, free parking for restaurants, and get the employees, because the employees for the restaurants, your servers, your dishwashers are all getting there earlier than patrons, and they're gobbling up all the parking and making it more difficult. So if we can get employees off the street into the garages at a free or discounted rate, that would help. So that's the direction I'd like to go in. Again, I know what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish, but Mr. Manager, This is something I'd like your administration to look at. I mean, this is no time to lose revenue on anything, I understand that. But I think there's a higher price to pay with the frequency of people visiting downtown and the businesses. I mean, there's too many other restaurants that have ample parking, you can just pull up and go. And that's what we're up against. So that's what I'd like to see accomplished, and some thought going into that, Terry, as we go forward. So that's basically a big concern of mine. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Terry Ryan, thank you for being here. I don't know if anybody can make a presentation on parking lot as exciting as you have. But seriously, I know it's not an easy job. We have a diverse city regionally. There's some areas that are very dense for parking. Some have more spaces. You do a great job balancing that. And I also want to appreciate the fact that you put in a lot of extra hours meeting with the residents and business community where this parking issues come up. So, thank you to you and your department for working with the communities and the residents. I like the presentation on the EV aspect of it. I know there's a lot of EVs growing in numbers in downtown the garages. My question is, do you have any plans to expand the EV to the business district outside downtown area? I know like business district with EV would invite more customers to the small businesses. Definitely like in the Highlands, in the Centerville, anywhere where there's a large density of small businesses, I think like EV charges would be very, very helpful, would be welcoming, I would say.
As long as it's public property. Like I couldn't go onto a private property, I don't think, and put a City of Lowell EV charging. It would be up to those businesses to do something like that, and then they would collect any revenue from that. I know we have, we can put others on public property throughout the city. If there are some locations that work out, absolutely. So we can look at that, and I know there are certain grants to do that, and I just wanted, my priority was to get one onto the second floor of the early garage because we have people that have pass cards, and the EV stations were on the first floor, but above the gates there was nothing. So for them to get charged overnight or something like that, they had no place to park. So we put them there, and that fit within the grant that we applied for. And so if we can put some other ones elsewhere, yes, all for it, yes.
Sure, yeah, that'd be great. Maybe in the future, start looking. I'm sure, like just along the sidewalk where the meters are in their business district. I think that'd be very, very helpful to the businesses.
Yeah, Voltruck, the company we work with, actually put some EV chargers on telephone poles.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can look into that. They've done that down in Medford, I believe. There's a couple instances. So we just have to watch the wires and where they are on the street and things like that, just to make sure nobody can get hurt.
Wonderful, thank you.
Councilor Getchia.
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Great job with the presentation. Just a couple of quick things. What happens if someone prepays and the garage is full?
We always keep a few spaces. If you are a pass card holder and we're having an event, you always have a space in the garage. And if you've prepaid on the Lasgo, we'll keep spaces open. We know there's 20. We're gonna have 40 spaces open for you.
And the other question is on the Leroy garage downtown on Market Street, the alleyway on the side, could you get those lights replaced so that actually...
We're working on the lights, and
Lights it
actually the metal gate is broken. We're trying to get the welder down there to take a look at that iron gate that connects the garage to the brick wall. So
Yeah, it's just not very well lit. If we can just get that lit up, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. I just have a couple quick questions. I'm trying to figure out, I guess, what area is under the purview of the parking department. We extended the hour up till 10 p.m. The meters go till 8 p.m. I'm assuming that was to go out into the neighborhoods. I just want to make sure that's the case. In particular, I've been asked a few times about the 2-hour parking at Hosford Square and Back Central and who enforces that. And some, crosswalks that are blocked in Back Central, people parking at the corners. Would that be under the purview of the parking department?
That typically is if it's in the downtown business district. In the past, I think even before I got here, they used to enforce Hosford Square. And then I think at one point the businesses didn't really want them enforcing because it was hurting business. So we stopped, and I think it's gone back and forth a couple of times. We don't go up there right now. I know I've talked to Captain Damaris a couple of times about sending people up there to enforce the parking. If it's something we have to look at and decide again whether we go up there on a regular basis, absolutely we can, we will. As far as the 8 o'clock, that's the downtown meters, the kiosks. And the 10 o'clock is basically north and south campus residential parking. Okay, and that's where my folks focus their time from 8 to 10 up there. Or if there's an event, they'll come down and enforce safety parking, crosswalk parking, hydrant parking, things like that.
So there's nothing that stops the expansion of the parking department going into the neighborhoods? I guess that's my question.
Mr. Manager, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, that's the ordinance we are working on to make it a lot clearer as to, once again, allowing the administration to move like something like that. If the neighborhood wants to give this a shot, we would give that a shot, as opposed to having, say, the police department, and that's the ordinance we're trying to work on.
They shouldn't be enforcing people parking at corners, and I mean, they should, I mean, of course, but they have a lot on their plate here, and I think that it should be under the purview of parking, and it's definitely something for us to look at. Another question, well, just to echo Councilor Janessa's sentiments, we talked about this at one of the former meetings, probably last year, about digital permitting. Had quite a few people talk to me about having to leave work to go downtown to get a permit. It's 2025. It's kind of archaic that we really need to look at that. And then the last thing was around cleanliness in the garages. Glad to see that they bought the pressure washer. Is that something that's incorporated into the contract language as far as the cleaning services?
They're required to keep the garages clean like that, and this power washer will help. We've rented one in the past, but this is really going to help. I think there's just a newer emphasis on making sure these garages are cleaner. I want to get more lights in general. I think the lights in a lot of the garages need to be replaced, but there is a greater emphasis on keeping the garages cleaner. And
I just didn't know what repercussions there are in the contract, if there should be strong language, like, monthly, it needs to be pressure washed, whatever. So that would just be a suggestion. Thank you.
Councilor Yam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Ryan, for your report. I just have a quick question on your page 22, community involvement. I know Mayor Rourke and I filed a motion to have the veteran with the veteran license plate park for free. In the report, I don't see that. Is that still?
It's out there. Yeah, we don't ticket veteran plates.
Okay, just, but it was.
Oversight on my part not to list that. But
okay, yeah, thank you.
Anything else? Great. Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Thank
Excellent
you.
job.
Thank you.
Next up, information report, FY 2026 funding for Lowell Public Schools. Manager Golden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. Councilors, this is an opportunity. It's actually very good practice for us to let the school committee know, and as well as the superintendent, as to what will be funding coming out of this budget. It is something that has happened, obviously, from the city's perspective. We are in the process, and it is our hope to release our budget next Tuesday for the council's approval and to review, and then obviously to approve. But all of our departments, it's under the what I think is something I'll say today is a 2.5% increase is what the administration is going to be looking for from the tax perspective. All of the departments' asks are always much higher, and that's stuff that I could share with you. And this, once again, this gives the Superintendent Skinner, as well as the school department, the ability to fully understand the amount of money that we can bring to them under the tax levy that we're going to be proposing in a week or so at 2.5. And it's just, once again, putting this in writing, giving them a heads up as to where we're going to be moving forward on.
Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, for bringing this forward. I guess just a few questions. So what percentage, the $271 million for the budget that we're funding, what percentage is that increase, or what dollar amount was the prior year's budget amount?
Well, the prior year, I believe, was $66 million in total for local contribution, and 14 of that was in cash. Oops.
That's the total number.
Well, that's the total number.
257.
257. I apologize. I think I misheard that. But 257 was the total, and this year is the 272.
So funding it at 272 this year, what does that do to us as far as our net school spending requirement? Or what are you expecting that to be? Still?
CFO?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and that's an excellent question because the city, like all municipalities in the Commonwealth, is required under ed reform to meet what's called net school spending, and obviously the council is well informed in what that is and what that means, but for the benefit of the public listening, ed reform set forth a certain level under the Chapter 70 formula. Every year, the Department of Education and Elementary and Secondary Education publishes the net school spending requirement for districts. It says this is the number for adequate funding for a school. Chapter 70 is a component of that funding, and then the other component is what's called the local contribution. In Lowell, we have traditionally made up a portion of that local contribution with cash, we call it. So we add an amount in excess of Chapter 70 in the appropriation order. But other things through, and we mentioned earlier in this meeting tonight, maintenance of effort charges. Those are things like health insurance for retired teachers, the pension for non-teacher retirees like custodians and paraprofessionals, the workers' compensation cost that is paid out of the law department budget, the nurses, which are paid by the health department, et cetera, et cetera. Those all come together to make up that contribution, that local contribution that the manager mentioned. And so to your question, Councillor, our expectation is that we will continue this path of exceeding net school spending. Our last certification year, and this is a sort of accounting methodology, we submit at the end of the year to DESI the report of all of our actual expenditures. They certify and say, for the last year, you have met net school spending or you have not. For the last certification year, we were over net school spending by several $1 million. It is the projection for FY25 that we will exceed net school spending by over $5 million. And so our proposed amount for the schools for FY 2026 is in consideration of that and will bring us closer to net school spending. So it will reduce the excess by some degree. However, and what's included in the communication this evening and what has been communicated to the superintendent is that will be offset by a significant investment in the facilities. Now, this is something we've been talking a lot about tonight in prior meetings, but with additional money, direct appropriation for facility improvements in the DPW, as well as capital improvements, which do not count towards net school spending. So all of the capital, for example, the Lowell High School project, the $380 million school building project, as well as the accelerated repair projects, the debt service on those do not count towards net school spending. However, they are real costs of the city. So again, to your question, I apologize for going on about that, Councillor, but we do anticipate we will exceed net school spending. The projection from DESI is that we will be over $5 million for 25. So we believe that this proposal is an adequate level of funding for the schools.
Okay, thank you. So we will we'll exceed net school spending. We'll continue our investment in capital improvements, which has been something that has been on the radar for the schools for the last, 15 years that I've been watching. And we also have the debt service from the high school that we've taken on. So thank you for this.
Councilor Noon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Managers, for this report. The last year, FY 2025 is to the school is roughly $257 million, and this year 2026 is $271 million. That's a round up number. So this year is basically exceeded last year by $14 million. Is that correct? Right. So when you look at Chapter 70, since the state budget is not complete yet because the Senate version is not come out yet, how did you come about the Chapter 70? How did you, is that from the state, from the legislature?
CFO?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So because the state budget process often is protracted in comparison with the city budget process, we have to use assumptions that are available to us at the time, meaning that the House Ways and Means number that was released recently, sometime in April, is the latest and greatest number that we had in formulating our budget. That is the number, the $261 million for Chapter 70 that is included in the budget today, and is what was also included in the governor's budget that was released back in January of this year for the FY 2026 number. So we're using the House number as of right now.
So Chapter 70, you base on the House and the governors, right?
That's correct. But there is, to your point, Counselor, there is additional components of the process to come. The Senate will release a number, and then if those numbers are apart, and obviously the manager knows this process very well,
he does.
There will be a conference committee to reconcile all of, not just the local aid accounts, but all of the components of the budget before the governor signs a budget into law. The last few years, however, that final step hasn't happened well into the fiscal year. And that has happened to Lowell, where the number that has come out of the final budget is different. And we will address that if that happens like we have in the past.
What are the chances that the Senate version will come up with the Chapter 70 higher? What would happen if that's the case? Will the manager bring supplemental appropriations to the council for vote on that? And will that money go to the school if there's an increase in the Senate version?
CFO?
So technically speaking, and I certainly can't comment as to what will transpire at the state level, but hypothetically speaking, if a number were to be included in the final version of the budget that is higher, there is a straightforward procedure that we've used in the past whereby the manager, the finance team and the manager will bring forward a supplemental appropriation to the council for the additional Chapter 70 amount. That will be appropriated to the schools and they will receive that additional funding directly.
I've also heard that, I see where we at here with the exceeding. This year we are exceeding 5.7 as opposed to, say, 2024, 4.7, and 2025 probably around 5 million. I see that, but I also heard that, school is hurting with our proposed budget. So I want to ask one thing from the managers, though. I mean, I know we are doing it now with our consolidation facility department. This is one way to really save a lot of money for the school part. So I hope that this work out between the city and between the council and the school committee. So I'll ask the manager this, that, to find some way to, work with the superintendent on how we can, help them, in meeting their needs, so to speak. Realizing that what you have here is really, that's what we have, really. So,
Mr. Manager, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Councilors, I've had some great discussions with Superintendent Skinner, and quite frankly, I have nothing but deepest respect for him. We, talk about lines of open communication. What we're trying to balance here is, once again, the number of the amount of the tens of millions of dollars that we have put forth into the schools. This council has moved with the MSBA art program as well as other programs. We're also trying to increase, and I'm kind of giving a little bit of the budget that we've been discussing by this Friday, hopefully by this Friday, that we're trying to increase spending in some of our DPW accounts where the schools themselves need additional monies through another means, and that's to make sure that all of the hardware, all of the software, everything that is working within the heating, the electricity, and everything else is operating in an appropriate manner. So I know that some are discussing that this is a negative, but I think when we really start to talk about the amount of money that the city budget is putting towards all of the debt service for brand new schools, for the tens of millions of dollars that we've put forth, because quite frankly, our DPD and DPW has done a fabulous job making sure that we qualify for this. But in some aspects, 20 to 30% of what we're putting in a new heating system, new air conditioning system, roofs, windows, and et cetera, that still falls on the debt side of the city, which is fine. But we also need to make sure that we're going to increase our spending. I want to say approximately $250,000 is what we've been spending out of DPW to make sure that the 29 buildings are up and running if something were to go wrong or if a heating system went wrong. My goal, I probably shouldn't say it, but my goal is to put $1 million in there. And quite frankly, I think we're still light. So some of this money is going to go right back to the schools, just in a different fashion. And I can't say enough about Superintendent Skinner. He is just absolutely fabulous to work with. This is an issue, this is a problem, I understand that, but I think it's vitally important that this council has moved forward, once again, with tens of millions of dollars when we're talking about heating systems, et cetera. The fact that I don't want to be in a position in a couple of years to say, why didn't we fix this? And we can't fix this without putting the appropriate amount of money into DPW to ensure that the professionals can get in there to change out anything that needs to happen within a quarterly time frame. So I stand behind what we're trying to accomplish here. I think this is positive for the overall school building. As I had stated earlier, I think this is positive for the teachers, the students, for the well-being of the facilities. Trying to create this facilities department, which I believe is going to cost us in the range of $350,000 to $400,000 of money that this council put forth through free cash, but that is yet another close to $500,000 that we're going to have to pick up on the other side. I feel a true partnership. I know that the superintendent, once again, is in a difficult time, but I believe that we will make sure that we hit over $5 million with our net school spending, or in and around that $5 million, which is in excess. It's in excess of what we need to do. I'm looking at our schools as partners. Right. I'm looking at our schools. This is not us versus them. This is making sure that our facilities are where they should be. And each counselor knows this. This hasn't happened in the past. We are ensuring that the school buildings are safe, secure, warm, or cool, depending on whatever time it is. And this is all part of this plan and moving forward. So I hope I answered that question.
No, you do. I also understand that they are hurting because the ESSA grant is gone, $45 million. So they have to do something about it. So thank you.
Councilor Getchia?
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. There's a couple of things when you think about this. The hard part for me is sitting here watching how facilities are a major issue to a budget for others and the cost, and not your administration, but past city councils and administrations have really failed the residents, and the employees have failed the schools on the side of not maintaining these things and watching them. Their life expectancy feel very early in what we have, and watching things deteriorate as quickly as they have, and watching how we are trying to manage through all of this. And some of it is the employees' fault on our side. You know, the HVAC systems, you look at that was deplorable what happened. And to me, those guys should be in prison, not walking around on the streets. But that's my opinion on what they did to some of these units. When you start thinking about education is a major piece, and I know you know that, Manager Golden, that's the driver to getting city success. And a lot of times when you see these budgets inflated on that end, you're seeing that, you know, there are school psychologists and things that have been brought in, and it have to bring them in because of DESE has unfunded mandates that have changed that. So I think that we start looking at this $261 million from the Senate just got pushed over there today. And when it passed the Senate. So when you look at it, it's a $10 million upfront from us from a 14. So it's a 40% cut reduction on their ending cash. Did they know about that early? I don't know. That's a conversation you and Superintendent Skinner would have. But it's hard to manage when you expect at least level funded going through. And I just hope that there's a happy medium, and I'm sure that you two will come to a conclusion that will work best for our students, because without having the proper staffing, and I'm sure they know it much better than us, and they know what the unfunded mandates are from DESE on what they have to have for psychologists for young kids and all of that stuff that we don't have any clue about, and we look at staffing levels. So I just would caution everybody on the jump to what's going on, and I would agree with some people that when you look at that side, it's top heavy. And I think that needs to change, but I don't see it changing by $4 million. So I hope that we can work together and try to find a way. But some of this problem is really on the city side because of the lack of maintenance of all these buildings and stuff. So we just have to dial down and take that into consideration as we move forward. I'm sure you will. Thank you.
Councilor Yam?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to kind of along the line Councilor Noon was talking about. I've been reading about the federal budget for 2026, that the federal government plan to cut $163 billion, and most of them is for education, health program, and like rental assistance and all that. I know Lowell may be okay in 2026, but my fear is down the road, the next fiscal year. The fixed cost for the city is remain higher every year because of the inflation. So that means the city budget need to be increased. That means the taxes will go up. And as you know, that this is the election year, certain people may use that, against the, incumbent councilor for voting to increase the tax and all that. But people fail to realize that, in order to keep the lights on, to keep our staff working, to support the resident, we need to increase this to pay for health insurance, for a retirement and all of that, for our police and firefighters, all of that need to be taken care of so they can take care of us, keep us safe. So I just want to kind of pass it along because I've been reading it every day and I'm worried about it because maybe we okay this year, but the next fiscal year we may not. So just kind of a word of caution. Thank you.
Thank you. So we need a motion to accept and place on file the communications from the city manager by Councilor Gittia, second by Councilor Janessa. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. On a 7.4 communication, appointment of Mr. Melissa Morales to the Board of Clerks. Motion to adopt by Councilor Scott, second by Councilor Yem. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilor Noon. Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Councilor Yem.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Councilor Chow.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Getchia.
Yes.
Councilor Janess.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
7.6 communication, city manager requests approval for one out-of-state travel for Health and Human Services. Motion to adopt by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Gittia. Questions? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilor Noon. Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Councilor Yem.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Councilor Chow.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Getchia.
Yes.
Councilor Janess.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Vote to the city manager, returning to that. 8.2, a vote to authorize city manager to file special legislation. Read the full reading and a vote. An act authorizing the granting of easements and parcels of land to the city of Lowell, which are currently owned by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, by and through the Department of Conservation and Recreation, for the purpose of construction of outflow structures and mainline drains. Just roll call. Motion to adopt by Councilor Robinson, second by Councilor Noon. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilor Noon.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Councilor Yem.
Yes.
Councilor Belanger.
Yes.
Councilor Chow. Yes. Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Getchia.
Yes.
Councilor Janess.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Section 9, reports. 9.1, Rules and Election Law Subcommittee, April 29th, 2025. Chairman Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last week on April 29th, the Lowell City Council Election Rules Subcommittee had a meeting present with myself, my colleague on the subcommittee, Councilor Dakota, and Councilor Scott. Also, Councilor Mercy and Councilor Yan were also present. The Director of Elections, Mr. William Rosenberry, was present to make the presentation and answer any questions. The meeting was the result of a motion by Councilor Scott and also council discussion on online census, this year's local election, and polling locations. Mr. Rosenberry opened the meeting with a report and noted prior council approval of the preliminary election date of September 9th, 2025, and the city are taking steps to accommodate this date, this event. Mr. Rosenberry noted that the senior center and the Lowell High School site and other schools, and he is working with the Lowell Public School to identify proper locations. Mr. Rosenberry also noted an inquiry regarding the Morris School and the possibility of using the cafeteria area, which is closer to the school parking lot, which will make it easy for accessibility. The upcoming commissioners' meeting and the decisions will be made then, and they will forward the council for approval regarding voting and early voting and polling locations. Mr. Rosenberry outlines technical work being done regarding online census and how it would improve voting conditions. Mr. Rosenberry noted the request for quotes have gone out for the software and looking to implement it for 2026. I also inquired if there was a better second location in the Lower Highlands District in addition to the Moy School. Councilor Dakota commented on the Lowell High School and that this site could house many precincts. Councilor Dakota noted that the charter school could probably be dropped as a site due to lack of voters. Mr. Rosenberry noted that there are several areas to have a polling location, as it must be in a precinct that is adjacent to the precinct in question. Councilor Dakota questioned removal of voters from the roll. Mr. Rosenberry outlined the process, and basically if individuals didn't respond to the census, a couple of voting cycles, the voters will be removed from the roll. Councilor Scott questioned use of the online census application. Mr. Rosenberry noted it was an efficient tool and could be used to add and recapture voters into the system. Councilor Scott noted that there are many areas in Lowell to accommodate polling locations. I also inquired about the selection process of polling locations. Mr. Rosenberry commented that it was a series of criteria including locations, number of residents and voters, accessibility, etc. Councilor Yam commented and asked about the use of ballot drop box locations, and Councilor Dakota noted the need for council to bring forth their location preference. Councilor Scott noted the locations for polling should remain consistent. Mr. Rosenberry indicated that there are resources to cover many sites. This meeting, also Councilor Mercia commented on the low voter turnout during the elections in spite of the city's efforts. Councilor Scott added that more signage should help. We are waiting for the Election Commission to meet next week. When they provide us report, we will continue the meeting after they forward the report to the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to Councilor Chow for his report. I just wanted to mention that after that meeting, I kind of came in at the last couple minutes to hear some of the discussions. And when I heard about the potential movement or addition of polling locations, I mentioned to Mr. Rosenberry that I've heard from a lot of downtown residents who were upset with the latest set of polling locations that have them going down to the Rogers School where they used to vote at the high school, namely Market Street, Prescott Street, that area. And I mentioned that to him, and he said that they would likely be able to create a sub-precinct and possibly move those folks back to the high school. And I just wanted to mention that as something that might be coming down the pike, just so people are aware of it. He didn't put it in the report because it wasn't discussed as part of the public meeting, but where it was adjacent to that, I did want to just mention it to put it in the record. Thank you.
A quick announcement, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank Manager Golden and Commissioner St. Cyr for installing the COVID traffic mirrors the next day after the council meeting on the 29th of April. And the resident was happy, and I did try it, and it works really well. I appreciate that, and the resident on that Butterfield also very happy as well. I just want also to remind our resident that the city of Lowell will honor our fallen heroes, all the soldiers who lost lives to defend our country and freedom of all conflicts since Civil War. There are 1,278 lives were lost, and we will plant the flags in front of the City Hall at Ladd and Whitney on Monday, May 12, starting at 10 a.m. I would encourage everyone at home who is watching, who want to volunteer, and maybe family, friends that pass away during these conflicts, you want to plant a flag on their behalf. Lastly, on behalf of our councillor, we want to wish Councillor Noon an early birthday.
Any other announcements? Happy birthday, Councillor. Motion to adjourn by Councillor Scott, second by Councillor Robinson. Good evening.
Thank you.